Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What is up my good people? Minggu lepas kita semua, Zainul dan juga Iki dan Sy, kita orang dah buat marathon filem Mission Impossible yang pertama sampai yang ke-6 di rumah Suresh. Suresh pun salah seorang daripada kita orang punya kawan-kawan movie reviewer juga. Sebelum kita pergi ke reaksi satu ayat untuk Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, aku nak tanya dulu, memandangkan kita punya panelis-panelis semua ni sangat-sangat unik sebab pernah menonton filem-filem Mission Impossible yang pertama sampai yang ke-6. So aku nak tanya korang lah kita dah pernah bincang lah sebelum ni dalam WhatsApp group apa semua kan, tentang kita punya favourite Mission Impossible film, kita punya yang kurang favor sangat. So mungkin korang boleh share korang punya ranking ataupun untuk filem Mission Impossible yang pertama sampai ke-6, dekat mana korang letak korang punya ranking filem-filem Mission Impossible. Kita mula dengan Zainul dulu.
Okay, so untuk aku first aku akan letak Ghost Protocol.
Okay, cool.
Followed by MI1, MI3, then Rogue Nation, betul lah, Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, and last kali MI2.
Okay.
Betul kan?
Alright. Okay, macam ada reason tak kenapa kau letak Ghost Protocol?
Okay, so bagi aku lah, I think Ghost Protocol for me is the most complete MI movie. Sebab dia macam 1, 2, 3 aku boleh kategorikan sebagai like one type of MI punya movie. 5 to 7 is like one particular different type of MI movie. 4 ni bagi aku is like the best of both worlds. Kita dapat the proper like espionage stuff from the first and second pun lah, even though I don't really like the movie. But first, second, third, dia feel dia a bit more retro, classic. Like the feel is completely different bila dia dah masuk 5, 6, 7, dah jadi all out action movie kan. So fourth bagi aku is like the proper balance lah, where you get the conversations, the intense moment between confrontation and semua, but more on that later lah. But then followed by first, aku rasa first maybe nostalgia kot. I saw the movie, I think one of the earliest Hollywood movie aku pernah tengok, and maybe memang masa tu mind blown lah. I think kita pernah discuss before that a lot of things from that movie ended up becoming a template for so many hundreds and hundreds of other movies in the future. So I think the feeling masa Tom Cruise pakai emas dalam first tu, I think is still unmatched lah compared to the rest of the movie. Sebab benda tu dia just keep on repeating the trope kan, even though it still remains effective, but the first still remains like an all-time classic. Third, aku akan letak as top 3 mainly because of the villain. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think among all the villains, dia lah yang paling, I mean, even start from the first scene itself, where they on buat countdown tu 10, 9, 8, 7. I think that is probably the most intense MI scene in all 7 movies. So I think that maybe the story wise tak ada apa special, but I think because of the villain I'll give it an edge lah. And it also has the best Tom Cruise run in all the 7 franchise. Then I guess Rogue Nation Fallout, aku rasa I would put somewhere on same level lah, because movie ni dia dah start masuk focus on Tom Cruise akan buat stunt apa dalam ni, and it's more like progression story tu is more from one action set piece to another, not really in terms of means whatever stories pun dia akan revolve around the action set piece. The main agenda is benda tu, and followed by Dead Reckoning. I guess Dead Reckoning is for me in the same category of that two, is just I would put it lesser because later lah nanti kita akan bincang. Then MI2, I guess semua orang korang semua tahu kenapa MI2 is the last one.
I mean it's not that bad lah kan.
Not that bad, but I mean compared to dia macam because MI movies ni, even Dead Reckoning yang aku letak atas MI2 pun aku boleh consider like as a very good movie. But MI2 is something like mediocre kind of fun action, something yang bila kita tengok ramai-ramai aku rasa is a lot more enjoyable when you have people laughing around, and there is something aku buka laptop sendiri, it's not really something I might watch. So that's it.
Okay. Alright. Brother Sali, korang punya ranking untuk filem franchise Mission Impossible?
Oh, me first. Alright. So just know that when I'm about to say this, I think like all of them like in its own rights are like great movies, except for MI2, which I think is a joke. But not totally bad. There's some enjoyable factor. In fact, I love the most. I have the most time watching MI2 again. But like a lot of these movies, I think are great. Like we need like when we rank this, it's like comparably to other franchises, like this is still better than most. So here's my rank. Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible Fallout, and then number 3 is Rogue Nation, number 4 is Ghost Protocol, number 3 number 5 is Mission Impossible 3, number 7 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then my my number 6 my number 6 Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and then my number 7 is Mission Impossible 2.
Oh, Dead Reckoning kau letak second last Okay, tak apa. Itu nanti kita bincang kenapa.
Sama-sama macam aku lah.
Oh, I don't want me to justify now, want me to justify later?
Later. Nanti kita justify later.
Right.
Okay, as for my rating, it's Fallout is first, and then MI3, Rogue Nation, the first Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Part 1, Ghost Protocol, and last kali of course like everyone probably MI2.
I think we can agree lah. Memang even though sometimes if kita tengok macam kita punya ranking tu, obviously there's certain movies yang memang dekat top tier. Contoh macam Fallout, Mission Impossible 3 and Ghost Protocol is one of the top tier. Tapi yang kalau bawah sekali, memang kita agree is that MI2 is the lowest one. Dia kalau macam kita nak tengok, kalau kita nak buat tu, dia bukanlah macam 1, 2, 3, from great to worst ke apa benda lah. Tapi dia lebih kepada macam ada S tier, A tier, B tier.
Exactly.
Tapi dia MI2 tu aku boleh letak dekat at least B tier lah. It's not really C and benda.
It's still enjoyable. Dia nak kata tak adalah unwatchable ke apa ya.
It's stupid fun. It's stupid fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. So memang apa, I mean that bila kita tengok sama-sama, macam aku sendiri pun macam quite surprised. I thought that macam aku lebih suka MI2 compared to MI1. But then after kita tengok sama-sama balik tu, aku rasa MI1 lagi best. And then lepas tu MI2 dia punya jump genre tu, dia punya
memang dia lain sangat dah. Fokus dia. Mainly is because of the character of Ethan Hunt himself lah. Dia completely macam out of place compared to all the other movies.
Ya, betul.
The genre is John Woo. It's not action, it's John Woo.
Ya, genre dia bukan action, bukan espionage, John Woo.
John Woo.
Yes, that's what it is.
Betul. Okay, itu je kita punya ranking untuk Mission Impossible franchise. Maybe korang boleh share dekat ruangan komen korang punya ranking yang tersendiri. Okay, kita sekarang boleh go into Dead Reckoning Part 1 dengan segmen kita yang pertama, iaitu reaksi satu ayat. Alright, let's go. Reaksi satu ayat. Alright. Untuk all panelists, untuk kita tanya kepada Zainul, satu ayat untuk filem Dead Reckoning Part 1 ni.
I'll go a bit negative with this and say like been there, done that. Like a lot of it seemed like it was still exciting. Maybe I'll give a disclaimer lah, because kita tengok. I saw the movie exactly the day after kita marathon all the 6 movies. So the feeling of someone yang mungkin dah lama tak tengok my movie might be a bit different compared to someone like us who just watch them all together at once. So I would say slightly repetitive lah. Still exciting but slightly repetitive.
Okay, thank you. Brother Sandi, korang punya reaksi satu ayat?
Okay, me, it's not like ayat, just a phrase, still good. That's it.
Okay.
For
Iki?
me, it's dia macam mana cakap si satu ayat macam this eye, and dia macam lagi satu, it's the same feeling that I have being cucked, you know, macam apa Across the Spider-Verse. Like I know this is more definitive than Across the Spider-Verse punya ending dia, but still macam there's more to the story. So macam no that's my proper reaction. No.
Faham. Yalah, betul-betul. Dia boleh sebab kita dah tengok daripada awal, daripada yang pertama sampai yang ke-6 kan. So kita akan rasa macam kita nak something lagi tapi tak dapat kan.
That's the thing. Benda tu penting actually, completely different experience.
Betul. Okay. Alright, itu kita punya segmen yang pertama, reaksi satu ayat. Kita akan ke segmen yang kedua, iaitu top 5 likes atau top 5 plot untuk filem Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Alright, let's go. Okay, untuk top 5 likes yang pertama, iaitu intro kepada Dead Reckoning. Basically kalau kita tengok filem ni, bayangkan dia punya intro tu je, cold opening dia, aku rasa ada dalam 2 ke 3 cold opening. Lepas tu baru terus dia start the title card, The Mission Impossible. Sebab masuk pergi ke awal-awal dia start, dia tunjuk pasal the submarine and the AI apa semua tu. Suddenly lepas tu jump to the desert punya scene, and then dia dalam scene dengan the community yang kepala-kepala organisasi dekat setiap negara tu. And then lepas tu barulah terus pergi masuk ke Mission Impossible, which is bagi aku quite really cool. So soalan aku yang pertama adalah untuk Zainul. Apakah pendapat kau tentang submarine cold opening bagi Dead Reckoning ni yang set the tone untuk antagonis filem ni, iaitu sebuah AI program bernama The Entity.
Okay, so for me benda tu agak cool lah because it was different than the other MI movies. Honestly, masa when the thing was about to go wrong, personally aku assume that benda ni Ethan Hunt yang buat. Dia yang tengah control dia yang tengah control the two weapon and try to be, because we are used to seeing a version of him, either him atau someone yang pakai mask dia in the opening sequence. This is, I think, I'm not sure lah, maybe aku tak ingat, tapi this is one of the a bit different kind of opening lah, where Ethan Hunt langsung tak ada terlibat in any way whatsoever. It's just strictly something completely different, then baru dia akan cut pergi ke masa dia receive mission tu. So if you ask me, benda tu was quite interesting. To be honest, first watch aku tak dapat tangkap sangat what exactly happened, apa yang sebenarnya, like especially the technicalities around apa nama submarine?
Sevastopol something. So basically I think, correct me if I'm wrong, tapi what happened was that diorang tengah cuba test for like the Dead Reckoning thing, and the thing, the term is sentient or something, where it learned by himself and jadi lagi pandai and started understanding self-defense mechanism, and decided that benda tu itself was harmful to it. Is the entity rasa benda what they were doing dekat bawah tu was harmful to dia punya own self, so they decided to destroy it. I think something like that happened lah, if I'm not mistaken. So okay lah, I mean the thing, benda ni sebenarnya susah kita nak tengok dia punya impact selagi kita tak tengok part 2 lagi, because ultimately the story is, we haven't actually explored that particular AI punya story kan. Kita banyak dengar jargon, banyak conversation, especially after I think the scene submarine tu is masa kat dalam diorang tengah discuss where Ethan akan buka mask dan apa semua, but before that kan I think that is probably the longest conversation dalam MI yang aku tengok. It goes on non-stop, orang ni akan cakap something, orang ni akan cakap something, and which is a bit jargon heavy lah for me, like especially kita dekat Malaysia, kita tak ada English subtitles kan, so untuk tangkap apa yang tengah jadi tu kena betul-betul fokus kat cinema tu.
which is why second watch aku faham lagi dah sikit. But ultimately it's an interesting thing lah, sebab even though macam aku cakap biasa satu ayat benda ni repetitive, benda ni is like a different element lah. Mana-mana MI movie dia tak pernah explore this particular concept lagi. Even though the action set piece might be repetitive, tapi that idea of AI itself, where it can learn by itself, grow by itself, and ultimately take over the world, and the entire world pula cuba nak control benda tu. So it's a good start. I hope that kita dapat a bit more in-depth explanation lah dalam part the reckoning part 2, which exactly technicality apa. Like from what I understand is that it's just that ada kunci dekat bawah tu, ada lock dekat bawah where if dia pakai kunci buka, they will be able to control it. But as of now, we wouldn't explain to how exactly they are going to control it. So let's see what happens after.
Ya, aku agree sebab basically memang masa awal-awal opening pun dia tak ada explain. Even the whole movie pun dia tak ada explain. Who created
tak ada, memang tak ada.
benda tu. So
tak
macam memang dia just tunjuk okay, AI ni memang dah ada, dia dah gone rogue, just macam that's it.
Exactly.
Okay, pada sekali ada nak tambah apa-apa ke untuk point ni? Rasa kita next question.
To me, personally, I think it doesn't really matter that there's no part 2 yet. To me, it's a philosophical question, and so what if someone have the power to control an AI as powerful as that is so powerful yang dia boleh sedar diri dia sendiri and then collab dengan orang yang dia tahu is a almost total nobody, that he can hide even further and make sure that that guy become like a pure agent of the AI without his own like personal stake. So at least that's the way it looks like so far in terms of the like what's that guy? What's the villain again?
I forgot the name tapi
Gabriel.
Gabriel is like, I think we need more context in the second part as far as
exactly.
just more that he doesn't want anyone like to party to be able to control all of its ability, in this case was it Russia, was it Russia or Austria, I don't remember, like what the Sebastopol the people who created that thing. And to me, like, it's kind of obvious because the AI developed since its inception, right? So sebelum diorang siap lagi submarine tu, the AI dah start to develop itself. So by the time the submarine is finished, and when they fire the torpedo, the AI is already sentient and already is in contact with Gabriel. So it attacks the submarine itself. Dia tahu akan breach the hull and air semua masuk and then tenggelamkan semua orang kat dalam tu. But at the same time, it knows the chamber that contains it is protected enough that it won't destroy itself lagi, and because the bunuh semua orang, the only people that knows about this thing supposedly, it adds the entire conundrum of any one party to be able to control it, to be able to control the entity, right? So to me, I like the cold open with that because one, I like the pun that is cold because it's like in the under the sea of like where there's ice up there and everything like that. And I like the fact that it is impartial to any human, so it has no motivation other than the human that they already killed. So which just represent, like, they're not, let's say I may got it wrong, let's say the Russians, they're not actually Russians, they're humans, they represent the human versus AI. That's a damn good opening because it like I said, essentially dah bagi tahu awal-awal because the entire movie. And to me, that's itulah bila macam satu opening tu effective when it already like bagi synopsis to the whole thing without ruining the surprise. Like for example, bila diorang pergi dekat kan Mission Impossible dah start music orchestra tu kan, and then it's essentially the entire movie kan, and that's the gimmick since Mission Impossible 1 kan. But to this day, including that reckoning, never does it fail to the point that tells us what's going to happen. It's more like we get glimpses of what might happen without the context, which is good. So just like how they usually did that even this movie, the orchestral punya opening tu, the opening for that, which is the submarine theme, everything, I think it actually leads the whole movie well.
Okay. Alright. Okay, kita ke next question untuk Iki dan juga Sy. Okay. Sambung ke call opening tu, after the submarine, kita dapat the scene waktu yang dalam bilik the community tu with all the heads of the organisation kan. Okay, apakah pendapat korang tentang penampilan cameo iaitu Kittridge dari MI1 kembali memainkan peranan penting dalam filem ni. Sekarang di dalam ni dia dah bukan dalam IMF dah, dia dah jadi director of CIA. So, kita baru lepas tengok Mission Impossible 1, means that callbacks and reference tu really fresh kan bila kita tengok dekat dalam Mission Impossible 7. Apa pendapat korang tentang cameo dia?
Kittridge. I mean, yelah mula-mula kan he was painted lah macam dalam MI3 punya, dia punya the main guy is like apa orang kata Kittridge is like Florence visual character ish dekat dalam yang dari rekening ni. So macam dia he was introduced as the asshole that they want us to hate, and then eventually kita tengok dia sebenarnya like just like everyone else is being is part of this bigger game of chasing I don't forget the especially between the IMF and everyone else and the entity kan. So macam and the fact that they're trying to make everything tie up as one universe, as that this is just like the inspiration it derives from this TV series kan. So it feels like we're watching back macam a reunion episode lah of a character from episode belakang-belakang datang balik dekat season baru, macam seronok lah. And also I think my brother would appreciate more lah depth of why orang kata
I mean like macam bila aku tak tahu tau Kittridge ada dalam ni sebab yalah sebelum kita tengok lah kan marathon kan. But after tengok marathon betul-betul bila aku just macam research balik pasal Mission Impossible Reckoning ni tau. Oh shit, Henderson ni he's back. Dan aku masih hangat lagi sebenarnya.
Dia masih hangat tapi orang kata dia macam matured sikit lah kan daripada
matured sikit lah. He is macam apa orang kata corporate guy lah, suits guy lah. Very macam dia nakkan kunci tu memang dia nak control, dia nak US boleh control the AI. Basically memang by right as a head of CIA memang of course dia akan nakkan control lah instead of nak musnahkan apa benda kan. So Sy, kau ada ni ke? Ada nak tambah apa-apa lagi ke pasal Kittridge?
Oh, ada. Okay, one kritik Kittridge is they use him well. Pay like enough respects to him to make him, still him. He's the same douchebag in MI1, But faham tak? Like you can take a cameo from a failed movie, for example, movie Ghostbusters 2016. The movie so bad, so shit, that is not included in the official Blu-ray collection. Like even the newer movie Ghostbusters masuk, that movie 2016 tak masuk kan. So they make cameo like Venkman or something. Like one of them is like a taxi driver or something. He's a taxi driver and then he got killed off. For one, he's not a Ghostbuster in that universe for some reason, even though they bring him and it's supposed to be canon. And then for two, they kill him unceremoniously. It's so stupid and dumb. But in terms of Kittridge, he is doing the exact same that they would have done back then. The thing about Kittridge, he is not like a villain. He's more like a guy who thinks that the right people should be in control. So he's no different from the Russians that got killed in Sevastopol. Like he is just another like party who wants to be able to control it because he thinks if he has things in control, he will do the best in his abilities. And he doesn't see himself as an American. I think he sees himself as a hope for human, something like Lex Luthor, for example. So I like Lex Luthor, who's straight out a villain. Kittridge is more like and not an agent in that sense. I mean, like the agent of like ultimate control. You know what I mean? Like the ultimate authority to make sure that everything is supposedly just. It's like as if it's like true justice. So Kittridge feels like the same guy from One. Yang One dia tunjuk siap ada Dutch angle, siap ada bottom shot semua, everything. Tunjukkan dia macam this like dominant evil kind of like presence kan. So in this one, even though they don't use that old school technique, those camera angles,
Actually it does. Ada.
it
Banyak
does.
juga.
It does.
Banyak juga
But
Dutch
I
angle.
don't see that for Kittridge. At least I don't remember it.
Sebab dia dah nampak dia memang
Dia memang like
go through to the right path lah.
normal camera, static camera. Like because we already know who he is, supposedly we know kan. So I think he still represent the same thing, and I can appreciate that. And the fact that he is just as aggressive and just as antagonistic towards Ethan Hunt as he was in the first does not represent the fact that he doesn't grow. It just shows the fact that he's more like resolved more than ever. Like whatever he felt before, he felt even stronger now. So that makes him like a good, consistent like hurdle to Ethan Hunt, because Ethan Hunt, just like him, felt stronger how he felt like than he was since like the first movie. So it feels like there's growth in terms of both characters, and now they face off each other again, even for a short while. I appreciate that a lot.
Okay, cool. Zainul, kau ada nak tambah ke untuk point Kittridge ni?
I guess most of it Yorana mentioned. It's just that aku rasa that it was a very important decision lah to bring him back, sebab kalau conversation dalam bilik tu where there's so much exposition kan, this person is talking, without moment Kittridge bagi dia punya comment tu, I think that whole scene wouldn't have worked. Like the entire scene rests on the fact that Kittridge is, and the fact that cara dia introduce semua pandai. Kita mula-mula tak aware pun. Like this, everyone else talking, out of nowhere dia akan macam kamera tu akan pan pada Kittridge. So we understand, okay, everything is connected, then it brings you back to the first MI, apa semua jadi. And what matters is that, like dia orang cakap, Kittridge ni bukan villain, but it's a realistic character to have, sebab like Ethan ada mention that like he trusts him apa semua. At the same time, Ethan pun tahu that this is not someone they don't think alike, their sensibilities don't match. So like they need, it's logic lah dalam this kind of espionage kind of thriller with so much at stake. You will have characters where they agree on some things and they disagree on some things, rather than akan ada satu karakter yang memang baik which Ethan likes, dan satu karakter yang memang jahat which Ethan doesn't like. So dia tunjuk lah that Ethan ni pun someone yang sensible lah, that regardless of whatever dia punya difference dengan Kittridge, tapi at the end of the day dia pun tahu that this is someone he can trust, and which towards the end nanti kita akan bincang that what happens apa. But then for me, like macam dia cakap, it's important lah to have, and it added a lot to the movie, because without that presence of, because this movie did like dengan Gabriel punya character, they try to have us because the Gabriel thing, even though it is shown as a flashback, tapi kita tak aware kan pasal benda tu. It's a flashback in the movie, but it's not something we have seen before. So this is something is important lah untuk update, untuk make kita realise that it's still very much connected to the first, and it's still all the movies dia punya emotional core tu is like very much connected lah. So let's see, aku pun looking forward juga apa dia punya, what they are going to do with him. I'm sure dia punya role will be a lot more important in the second part. So let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, hopefully macam tu. Okay, thank you for the answer. Kita akan ke soalan-soalan audience. Kita ada 5 soalan, not really 5 soalan lah, 5 komen. Okay, yang pertama daripada Muhammad Hazim, kata tak ada sekatan spoiler 2 minggu ke untuk filem ni? Okay, selalunya memang kalau sebelum ni kita buat macam tu lah. Kalau macam daripada Nick, kata kalau nak buat spoiler talk, kita akan tunggu after 2 weeks. But the world are moving faster. Sebabkan AI lah, kita kena salahkan AI pasal benda ni. The world is moving fast. Besok pun dah ada Barbie dan juga Oppenheimer. Aku takut, aku cakap dengan Nick lah, kata Nick, apa Nick, lepas minggu kita buat antara benda tengah panas lagi kan. Takut nanti after 2 weeks orang dah tak nak cakap pasal Mission Impossible, tapi orang nak bercakap pasal Oppenheimer dengan Barbie. So for this week kita buat terus
masa ni masih relevan lagi.
Sementara masih relevan. So next week maybe kita boleh buat spoiler talk sama ada Barbie or Oppenheimer. Kita tengok macam mana lah based on free time masing-masing. Okay, ni daripada Suresh. Hello bros. What's up bro? Suresh.
Hello bro. We are all here because of you.
Yes, betul.
Basically.
Suresh sebab invite kita orang.
So shout out to Suresh.
Dia toke.
Really great host. Memang dia treat kita bagus je waktu tengok marathon Mission Impossible 1 and sampai ke 6, dan dengan cerita ada upgrade dia punya entertainment system. So tak sabar for next marathon. Alright. Thank you bro. Okay, daripada Muhammad Hazim lagi satu, dia punya rating untuk ranking dia untuk filem-filem Mission Impossible is first Ghost Protocol, second is MI3, 3 Rogue Nation, 4 Fallout, 5 MI2, 6 MI3. Wah, ni lain sikit. MI3 dia letak last sekali.
MI2
Mungkin Muhammad Azim boleh justify kan kenapa MI3 itu kat last sekali. MI2 bawah tu kita dah kira.
There's actually a comment after that. There's actually an actual question. I think I want to answer that more. Dia tanya pasal the all these 6 movies, which is my list. Which is like the best like scene for everyone. You know, I kind of want to answer that. I think that's a more like relevant thing to, you know.
Sorry Adi, before that, aku just nak add sikit pasal MI3 ni kan. I think MI3 being last sebenarnya is a pretty popular opinion aku rasa. Even I try to ask my friend, I think because even macam kita like unanimously agree about MI2 being our least favorite. Tapi MI3 pun is because it's very grounded kan compared to masa kita tengok pun dia tak ada like that. And the thing, it moves, dia datang pula lepas MI2 which is the most showy, the most style over substance movie, MI movie in the franchise. After that dia pergi bagi pula yang paling grounded, paling low-key, which is very much focused on Ethan, like psychology wise, where they tunjuk Ethan punya struggle between their family and trying to whether they nak move on by the next mission, or they nak like stay with his wife, or like a lot of dilemmas going in his head, which like some might even say some sort of existential crisis. So, but like that genre of espionage is agak different lah. That's why I think the first, second, third like compared to 4 sampai ke 7, first, second, third tu are like very different movies lah. So that's why kadang kita notice for some, first, second, third will fall in the top. Kalau dia biasa yang suka third dengan first, dia memang third dengan first tu kat atas. Yang tak suka biasa memang yang first sampai second, third ni memang akan ada kat bawah, because they are a lot more used to the newer kind of MI films where like kita tahu that they are proper action set pieces, proper stunts apa. So like that classic espionage feeling. And again kan, macam aku mention tadi about the villain, like the focus in the third is a lot more about the villain, pasal apa benda rabbit food, and a lot more focus tu je, that I think half of the movie is about this written about rabbit food tu, then Ethan tries to get it and things don't work out, and it leads to the confrontation and leads to him being dead for a while, and the wife needs to bring him back. And so a lot of it, storyline ni basically simple je. So I think siapa yang maybe appreciate Philip Seymour Hoffman punya kind of performance, that kind of intense, but if people aware of dia punya acting talent, memang for a movie like MI to secure that kind of actor was, I think at that moment of time, quite a big deal lah. Means dia boleh dapatkan a proper acting talent who they even give opportunity to shine in the movie. So I guess I can see it lah from some people point of view. I think maybe now kita pun dah older, but I think when we were in our teen, if kita tengok a movie like MI3 pun, I don't think so kita boleh appreciate as much as we are doing it now.
That's why macam Ayah, Sai?
RIP Hoffman.
RIP Hoffman.
RIP Hoffman.
That's why macam aku cakap, aku pun sama, aku kata bila waktu aku kecil dulu, waktu aku tonton filem Mission Impossible, aku cakap aku lebih suka MI2 compared to MI3 sebab MI3 feel really grounded kan. Feel really grounded compared to MI2.
Exactly.
Hero like. Dan ada juga setengah kawan-kawan aku yang quite macam layan filem-filem MI2 sampai MI1 sampai MI3, tapi lepas tu dia tak layan sangat yang sampai yang McQuarrie punya version.
After Ghost Protocol.
Dia just layan that trilogy only. So if kalau dia orang layan, most of them yang layan the trilogy, they will choose MI2 as their favourite. Sebab among that three, MI2 is the yang sangat-sangat macam action blockbuster sebenarnya. Even aku kalau tengok Muhammad Aziz punya rating, dia lebih kurang sama macam aku juga dia punya rating. Cuma aku swap dia punya yang MI3 dengan MI2. Mesti MI3 aku letak nombor 5, MI2 last. Cuma aku tak suka sebenarnya bila letak ranking macam ni, it look like macam kita nak bagi tahu yang bila aku letak MI3, MI3 tu dua.
Orang ingat kita benci yang paling bawah tu.
Like that. It's still really good sebenarnya. It's still really good. That's why aku lebih suka kalau letak.
It is for me.
Which is aku lagi suka letak macam which one is S tier, which one is A tier. Kalau S tier memang for me is Ghost Protocol and MI1 lah. And then lepas tu the A tier is MI Rogue Nation, Fallout and MI3. B tier baru MI2. It's just like that. Means that there's no bad Mission Impossible.
Exactly.
Cuma satu kalau
franchise yang tahan.
Kalau pasal MI3, why aku letak macam MI3 di bawah sikit is just because I really like the ground, the feel that you feel grounded apa semua tu. Cuma aku tak suka style JJ Abrams tu, dia very high pace tau. Dia punya style shooting dia tu very high pace tau, which is good sebenarnya compared to Mission Impossible 2. Starting 5 minit pertama je dah start mission. Cuma ada certain action part dia lah, kau boleh nampak macam dia berlari apa semua tu, it's like it feel to high pace sampai aku rasa macam a bit pening. Then go back to Ghost Protocol, dia full with action, full with espionage, ada gadget semua, tapi kita rasa macam very laid back tau. Kita rasa macam very macam
exactly.
Aku nak
a lot more chill out sebab dia handle banyak komedi. MI3 I think point of comedy. MI3 basically, and MI3 punya another shot mention, I think actor yang aku tak ingat nama dia, but the one I think kita boleh spoil kan, the one who was dia punya superior who offered him the group. So kan ada satu scene where masa Ethan kena tahan, dia akan bagi him shot small knife or pin or something to save himself. Then later kita find out that he's the one, like cara that movie punya nak kata cara that movie was basically shot pun was very different lah. That like macam kau cakap, it was very fast tapi dia tunjuk betul-betul intense, where after that the part where yang dia akan cakap, dia akan try to use his mouth to bagi imply internet what he's saying, this will be leave, and then masuk terus scene leave tu. So every single scene something is actually happening compared to MI2. So basically the moving to a direction which leads towards part yang tu lah, which comes towards the end masa yang he actually dies and gets this one is alive again. But macam aku cakap lah that the style dalam MI3 punya, when we compare to movie-movie lain, macam kau cakap benda tu pun moving fast, tapi in a way that dia still bagi they still manage to put in the espionage element of Ethan punya crisis with himself dengan dia punya family, at the same time bagi kita a different kind of experience lah, which aku rasa after that kita dah tak dapat dah. Macam kau cakap, moving to Ghost Protocol dah completely, dia masuk phase yang they're going to this country, like even dalam kepala aku pun whenever I think of Ghost Protocol, dia akan datang ke mission ni, part yang where dia orang dengan guard tu, where they are moving forward pakai projector tu, then move forward pada scene yang Burj Khalifa, or scene yang where they exchange among themselves, tukar orang swap untuk ambil diamond dengan nuclear codes tu, then move to the India punya scene, then move towards the later part. So dia dah masuk the action set piece punya genre lah. So means very different lah. Like some people who appreciate MI 1 to 3 memang might not be that keen on the later part. Some who appreciate MI 4 to 7 maybe might not appreciate the first 1 to 3.
Betul.
Like to me kan, I when it comes to Mission Impossible, yes, I almost agree with you guys. All of the movies are great, but when I read MI2 last, I really do feel like it's actually a shit movie. I kid you not. I don't enjoy movies like Sharknado. I say F off to that kind of movie. I don't like it. So MI2 feels like a joke. It's like a thing to the entire series.
Yeah,
That
gampang.
said, I can enjoy the movie. Like ironic.
Yeah, aku faham lah. Exactly lah. The enjoyment comes from the fact that how bad it is, not actually anything positive about the movie. Maybe of course lah, macam ada element, but the reason macam it's not just the fact that movie tu like style or substance or the way it's shot, is that Ethan yang macam cakap Ethan emo, yang betul-betul emo dalam ni. It's just that even within the MI franchise, aku pun tak boleh nak recall sekarang apa exactly like the Chlamyra, apa nama virus tu lah. It's just that dia pusing-pusing part tu je pasal the virus, then dia akan inject, semua akan inject, then semua akan cuba dapat like. So even within the confines of MI franchise pun, whereas every other movie kita boleh dig in dia punya plot and different characters, yang ni is just, it starts off for the first half an hour is just like a romantic drama where it builds romantic then after that pun, even with the villain pun dengan perempuan tu pun is a romantic kind of relationship or some kind of twisted relationship, but at the end of the day it's just that lah, like it doesn't offer us anything more. So like if let's say like even with diorang buat benda style pelik-pelik tu dengan slow-mo and whatever, even if diorang ubah, even if we could sense that Ethan dalam movie ni is very different than Ethan from the other movies, but as long as kita ada some kind of a bit more plot yang a bit more interesting, a bit more intricate, a bit more technical, in the sense that like bagi aku the most technical part of the movie was the first masa dia campak sunglass tu, where untuk dapat lah. So that is basically I can recall lah the most interesting part of the movie lah. So other than that aku sendiri pun tak boleh recall ada apa-apa benda elemen yang something yang like can stay true to the espionage genre lah. So maybe it depends lah, sebab kita pun orang lain, different people will watch a movie for different reasons, right? Some for them that is what they enjoy, maybe they are watching their friends or whatever, maybe masa muda like we couldn't really appreciate much the more grounded stuff, so kita pun really appreciate tu lah. But it's there, I mean it's part of the franchise, it's not going anywhere, so it gave us like a different Tom Cruise, which is kalau orang cakap Tom Cruise yang paling cool pun people will quote from MI2 because dengan rambut panjang dia, sunglass and the way he this one pun semua. So that's the thing lah, like kita boleh appreciate with Tom Cruise, kita appreciate the
Okay.
sorry
Okay.
guys, ada technical issues ni.
Okay, no problem. Alright, tak apa. Kau settlekan dulu kau punya tu,
It's something about like the ranking a bit. Just a bit.
Sorry?
About the ranking. I want to add something about the ranking.
Okay, sure. Boleh.
To me, after 3 decades, Mission Impossible 1, 2, 3 play an important role. And it's funny because after 3, they start to ada subtitle. Jadi Ghost Protocol and so on, right? So 1, 2, 3 is kind of like representing like 3 like attempts to define what this franchise is. So when I look at 1, it's actually it already knows his ground weirdly enough, because it's like perfecting the formula of the series, and most of us know for like the mask, right? So in the first one, it feels like very heavy on the espionage and the gadgets and all the characters and subversion of expectation and all that. And what I like about the first movie is that it tries to show that this is an every movie. It also have like a horror genre, so to speak, like in Prague.
It's
In the
also sorry,
beginning,
like a whodunit. Dia macam mystery movie.
Yeah,
juga.
Udani, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Ah,
who done
it's a
it,
whodunit.
and then like a bunch of people die at the beginning, and I think like one of the most gruesome deaths is still from the like the first movie when the guy is like looking
Yeah,
at them,
yang dekat
and then like, oh my
pass
god,
on leave or something tu.
I think that's the most scary death, and I have nightmares from that. I'm not kidding. When I watch it for
Yeah.
Yeah, betul lah.
the second time I watch it, I have a nightmare again. It a recurrence. But anyways, he already knows what it is, because what it is like perfecting
The
the
espionage,
formula
yeah.
of the series,
Yes.
of the novel and all that. But then when you got to 2, it's like it takes off, but dia punya runway tak siap. Faham tak? Macam cuba bayangkan apa tu kapal terbang kan dia kena gerak baru dia take off kan. Tapi dia punya landasan tu tak siap lagi, dia dah take off. So dia take off, dia gerak, dia terbang macam ni. Dia terbang tak betul, dia terbang ambing. It's like it doesn't know what it is. It's trying to find a new footing when there was already a footing. But before it can even find a footing, it tries to take off, which doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So 2 is like too action oriented that is it becomes so stupid. But now that I think about it, I kind of appreciate it, because without that, we won't be getting, Metal Gear Solid. Before we got Metal Gear, or when we got Metal Gear Solid, then we get the formula that one person who's just have this one like the normal guns having to fight like bigger organizations. Like we wouldn't get that concept if it wasn't for MI2. MI2 is like a pioneer in a lot of ways. But I still think it's a shit movie. As for 3, it focuses more on the foundation of the characters, who Ethan really is. Like he is a guy who is like a person even before all of this. He remember like when the character Ving Rhames asked him like what was she like, and he says like it was like before all of this. And I love that. It's not saying that he denounced what he's doing now as a secret agent, but he is also saying that he enjoys the civilian lifestyle where before he was even joining all the spy stuff, right? So, and then we have Hoffman, who really like challenges him, like if you really love what you love, fine, but do you really mean it? Do you really mean it to the point that you can actually protect what you love? You really mean to the point that you can actually fight for what you love? When someone like me comes along and destroys everything, can you stop me? Is your love enough? You know what I mean? So we have like a interesting enough connection between the 7th movie, That Reckoning Part 1, to the 3rd movie, because there is a role where there was a character, Ethan Hunt, along the way. The thing is, Mission Possible, semua it's told in an anthological kind of way. It tells like, yes, it tells a story of Ethan Hunt and things progresses over time, but it's all episodic. Dia macam just show one time in his life. It doesn't have like a direct sambungan, like a movie REAK 1, REAK 2, like for example the Spanish horror movie, right? Like REAK 2 sama exactly apa yang berlaku kat apartment was REAK 1 kan. So this one, this franchise, dia tak macam tu. But it shows in MI3 at one point, Ethan pernah ada anak murid and he failed the anak murid. She dies because of Hoffman. And that really sticks to him. If you really know Ethan, no, I disagree. I don't think Ethan is a player. He is not like James Bond. There's a progression to how he changed one lover to another. It is very justifiable. But dia ada this anak murid, by the way, who is attractive, but he doesn't develop that kind of relationship. It's just mentor and mentee, mentor and kind of thing. So she dies in his arms seconds before he can defibrillate her and then save her life, right? Like she died like right there. It's like I think the second most gruesome death in the entire franchise.
Disturbing
my
gila.
God, the eyes.
Disturbing gila.
So I think 3 is like putting the foundation that behind all of this, there's still a human. That's not just a super agent. That's a superhuman. And because of that, I think a lot of that is lost on people. People don't take it seriously enough because there's not much action, because it doesn't want to focus on the action. It wants to focus on who Ethan really is. You know, who is really like he is as a person. Even like dia janji dengan isteri dia, he would tell her everything, and we know that these people are not allowed to tell their lovers, even their lovers, everything, even the suami isteri, like even FBI, ATF, ICE, DEA, they cannot just willy-nilly tell dia punya partner pun pasal all the details of their operations, because they could black and they could ruin the whole thing when the wrong people get to know the sensitive information, right? So when back to this, even when he knows of that, all of that, towards the end of MI3, he did tell his wife everything. He catch up his wife on everything, like what happened. He doesn't even care about the rules anymore, because they were like near death experience. Both of them was about to die at the hands of Hoffman and like the agent after that. And what I like about 3 also is that, dude, Hoffman is killing it. There's a lot more acting from Cruz, which people just think as an action guy. Now he's acting, right? And then the third is, dude, Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne. Oh my god, he's so iconic. And now that I think about it, he does sound like his character in the John Wick franchise. Because, dia macam cara dia cakap, line delivery dia, dia tone dia to kind of feel like the same condescending cool tone, which confirms to me that Lawrence Fishburne, he writes his own stuff, meaning that they write for him, but then he came in like, why don't we add more to this character? So he really made sure to rewrite the character, so waktu they deliver the lines for the character, it feels like very Lawrence Fishburne-esque, you know. And that's why to me 3, it seems to be like a way better movie than 2, because 3 is like is focused more on the hard-hitting stuff, the emotional beats rather than the action beats this time. Whereas 2 is like just action for the sake of being action. It forgot to be Mission Impossible. So when they start 4 and above, they dah start rasa, like you said before Hadi kan, the 4th movie, Ghost Protocol, dah start rasa macam relax kan, because the footing is already found in MI3.
Correct, betul. Aku agak setuju dengan benda tu. Okay, thank you guys for your input pasal filem-filem Mission Impossible yang sebelum-sebelum ni. Okay, now tamat untuk kita punya segmen point yang pertama. Thank you juga pada yang komen, especially Muhammad Azim. Okay, kita ke next segmen kita, iaitu point nombor 2 berkenaan di location di Abu Dhabi. Alright, let's go.
Betul tak?
Dalam director ni memang itu banyak tempat dan juga tadi second point, which is bila Ethan and the team pergi ke Abu Dhabi. So soalan aku untuk Zainul, apakah pendapat kau tentang pengenalan watak Grace, lakonan Hayley Atwell, sebagai sparring partner terbaru Ethan? Adakah dia macam watak apa ni, one of the watak perempuan yang in the long list of female companion Ethan sebelum ni, atau dia ada future lagi yang lebih cerah untuk masa depan?
So I think personally bagi aku, she was like maybe the best character in the movie lah for me. Most engaging, sebab kita nampak dia punya like from start there's a proper introduction. Masa introduce pun dah nampak apa dia punya talent of that, dah being a thief, then it progresses in a way that karakter dia punya growth pun nampak proper from start. Mula-mula she's just confused what is going on, then Ethan tries to convince her that no, there's a bigger thing at play, but dia pun tak dengar. Even after the car chase pun dia still escape lagi. Not until Ilsa's death baru dia realise okay, something very important is at stake. Then dia also dah prepared to play a role in what's going on. Sampailah ke last where dia decide that okay, she also wants to go into this IMF ni lah. So to me progression dia, so first of all I think satu benda I think is very common dengan MI mana-mana girl female character yang introduce is that dengan Ethan there must be some sort of sexual tension tau, regardless of it's a villain or sebab only then it works. Macam tadi diorang Syafiq ada mention that Ethan ni bukan macam Bond, like it's not a playboy which is true, but at the same time mana-mana karakter bila akan introduce the first scene tu mesti akan there is some sort of sexual tension, there's chemistry. Even dalam Ghost Protocol dengan perempuan yang I can't remember her name, I think so,
Paula
yang
Patton, is it?
The boyfriend died mula-mula sekali tu.
Paula Patton, Agent Carter.
So even dengan dia pun masa dekat scene dekat dekat party dekat India tu, they had to show, so they akan occasionally dia akan bagi these moments with Ethan to show that okay, whatever it is, dia even though dia akan tunjuk that's his streak and his school he's still a guy after all, he's still a man after all. So they still will try to establish some sort of relationship, some sort of tension lah dengan karakter ni. So coming back to Hayley Atwell punya karakter Grace, even from the first scene itself dia dah tunjuk, so kita dah boleh agak that they are trying to prepare this character for what is about to happen to another character later in the movie. Sebab benda tu is they need, because if let's say Ilsa's death happen dalam in the movie without Hayley Atwell punya character, kita dah tak ada any female character Ethan cast for, even though benda tu hasn't moved to that level as it is with Ilsa lah, but at the same time dia dah ada satu female character which Ethan cast, and aku rasa it was very smart of them to use benda tu to the advantage, pakai yang AI tu juga, where the AI knows that these are the two characters that he cares about, and he started to fear for more than himself. So diorang AI tu pun pakai that thing where macam Gabriel cakap that one of them has to die tonight in order for the thing to move forward. So with Hayley Atwell ni, I think she will have a much bigger role to play in the second one in regards of how Ethan defeats the AI, her skills of, sebab kita sekarang kita just nampak dia punya skill tu in just a sense of curi pendrive tu je kan. We haven't really seen in the bigger scale how exactly, but there must be a reason her character is a thief and is being given that kind of personality. So I think in the bigger picture mungkin kita akan nampak lah dalam second how Ethan is going to defeat with the key, how he's going to use her help, and how important integral she's going to become to the IMF team with him, Benji dengan all the other guys. In respect to this movie itself, personally I thought like I said, she was the best character, and I mean every scene dia ada it was entertaining lah, be the first. And after that, even in the car chase, honestly bagi aku car chase was a bit repetitive, maybe sebab kita dah tengok few before that, but she kept the thing interesting, like her dialogues, her moments, her facial expressions. Then moving after that dekat scene dekat party where Gabriel and semua datang, dan kita dah nampak okay, so she is also trapped in this with yang Elena nama dia, if I'm mistaken,
Alana Mitsopolis.
So dia yang hire her, we find out that why actually she was hired. Then moving to dia pun managed to get into the whole mask thing. So kita nampak lah progression dia from a character which is just a thief yang tengah curi key tu to becoming like an integral part of the team, being having someone who is having to replace someone else punya personality. Sebab one thing dalam movie MI ni which is not actually addressed, it's very easy for someone, of course dia akan pakai mask, but other than that suddenly they also become that person, the personality, the style of sense of speaking, the sense of semua tu datang sendiri. But dalam ni aku perasan that you can see that that was Grace wearing the mask of Elena. You can sense the
Hmm.
tension dalam muka dia,
Betul,
the
betul.
guilt masa
Yes.
dia nak transfer duit tu. So that I think benda ni over time diorang dah move on lah. Like it's not just how the mask is made, dah progress. Even if how after the person wears the mask, how their personality actually doesn't change, how they actually have to make an effort to adapt to that person's personality, that person punya style, apa sense of style or sense of speaking or sense of walking apa semua tu. So benda tu I think is quite impressive lah. I think also credit has to be given to Vanessa Kirby, the fact that she managed to play both Elena and the character who is Grace playing Elena. So
A dude, discuss a dude as a dude. Really cool lah, memang really cool lah. Okay, soalan untuk Brothers Ali. Ada nak tambah ke Iki?
Ni apa macam
Okay.
I just realised that orang kata Mission Impossible in the later sebab they never forget its root so it's gonna do some kind of callback to previous MIs kan. So in this one other than Kittridge coming back and the Dutch angle, lagi satu aku perasan lah kan, apa ni, Grace is a thief and then that whatever woman in MI2 is a thief also. But Grace is more functional than her. She's like, I'm hot, I'm in distress, help me. And then last dia jadi punca. Macam bodoh. Ni macam disebabkan Me Too movement and everything, or maybe it's just it's a matter of semua orang ada function. You cannot just be like kau perempuan je, you an a sexual an object of desire. You cannot be like a strong independent woman or something kan. In this one dia macam she's a thief with a function. Dia bukan setakat nampak hot je. I mean, Elliot is hot, but you know, sorry
Yalah,
tadi when you tak ada function lah bro, sister. Sorry sister.
And then with that thing kan, it also like depict her as not to be a good driver. Just to show, not because dia
She's
nak
a woman.
cakap
She cannot
like
drive.
she's a woman, she cannot drive. It's like she as a person cannot drive.
Yes.
But at the same time, she as a person also has a function. So I think we find like I wouldn't say compromise. We find like this is where we want to be lah. I mean like you might not agree with the old ways, you might not agree with feminism, you might not even agree with how things are like written, so like what do you call it, thing macam cicai boncai nowadays, right? And then like a lot of things are typical. But we can all agree that this is where we want to be at, you know what I mean? Where the person is just a person, and because that person is a person, that person has a function. You know, it's like watching Game of Thrones when it was good. You know?
So yeah, between two thieves, apa tu, Grace is best waifu lah.
Yes.
To me, best waifu is still the first one. I mean like that, like his actual wife. You know, when he got a wife. Yeah, that's I think still
First
best
one.
waifu. Then MI3
yes.
his actual
Macam mana kan lah. I see. Okay. Alright, nice. Okay, soalan untuk Brother Sali. Apakah pendapat korang pula tentang peranan penting ejen Luther iaitu Ving Rhames dan ejen Benji Simon Pegg sebagai B story ataupun subplot di airport Abu Dhabi versus the entities nuclear bomb. Bagi aku that scene is really intense, really memang betul-betul kau tengah ada satu plot sedang berjalan, Ethan dengan apa ni, Grace. And then lepas tu diorang berdua je tau. Diorang tak nak inform pun Ethan. Diorang berdua je. So apa pendapat korang tentang that really cool plot?
Dia macam ni lah, dia macam orang kata they've been in an adventure for quite a while, so it's just Tuesday for them. So macam alah setakat bom ni nak go off, tak apa Ethan, kau buat hal kau try this AI bomb, you know, like whatever man, like do your business, you know.
Benji dah pro lah. Dia dah bukan IT guy lagi.
Alah dah setakat graphic agent lah.
I think yes, it's more not that, but it's more like the part where Benji is a pro because they're already a pro, because Luther and Benji is already a pro. They know that as soon as things happen, they need to adapt. Like in this case, they seem to realize that there's something messing with him, with Ethan. there might be like some kind of like other technology that fighting against them that is hacking them in return, whereas he's hacking like the other enemy, right? So that thing is like monitoring both Ethan and the other party that Ethan is trying to steal the key from, right? So when Luther cut off and Benji is okay with that, is because they adapt, because they understand that if they let it faster, it will further sabotage Ethan punya operation. So the best way to like handle it is to not involve Ethan in that case. So because of that, I think I like it the way it is. That even when Ethan was kind of angry at them, when they didn't tell him that there was a nuclear bomb going around. The reason why I agree with what Luther and Benji did over the like what do you call it thing, Ethan's concern, is that that's what I like about Benji and all the other characters that's side characters, Hawkeye and everything in the world of MI. They're not there to be like other agents. That's only
just for
one
the sake of it,
solid thing, right? But they are there to be like a support.
Yes.
And in times like this, there's just too much to handle. There's just too much for Ethan to handle. I think what they did is very smart and intelligent, and I think that is the way to go.
Yes.
I love Benji, by the way. It's my favorite support.
Rasanya kalau
Yes,
ni
gila.
kalau rasanya kalau ni MI tu rasanya Ethan seorang je handle semua benda. Tak ada hal.
Betul.
Baru kira
Tak ada.
apa kita ni
Bom pun
virus.
sambil tu kat depan.
Tak ada tembak langsung. Alright, Zainul, ada apa nak tambah ke untuk plot Benji and
I
Luther?
guess aku pun setuju lah apa dia cakap, that those characters have come on their own lah, means they have proper function in the movies. They are not just there for the sake of it. They are shown like, means they orang pun agent kan, it's not they orang bukan random. They also
Ada
are
function lah,
field
agent.
agents. So since they're field agent, of course they would be trusted to handle certain things by themselves. But at the same time, I think what that particular scene adds, which yang kau mention pasal yang nuclear dekat back tu, because notice that Benji jadi frustrated because they realise that this thing is learning more and more about him. Then when that question comes about dia akan tanya who is the most important people in your life or something like that lah. Dia cakap my friends, lepas tu dia akan cakap kan like son of a bitch or something. Dia akan bagi some remark. He's becoming very frustrated because dia dah tahu that this thing has learned that like among themselves what matters for Ethan ni pun I think a certain characteristic dia ada is similar to Captain America, whereas dia akan to protect that one person or that one person he cares for, is willing to forgo all that other thing. Sebab tu bila in the conversation after where Benji explains that this thing is much bigger than any of us, regardless of anything happens to us, you need to accept lah that apa-apa boleh jadi, but what matters benda ni, Ethan cakap I cannot accept that, I cannot agree with that. So I think that scene bagi kita sort of a sneak peek into how this AI is going to use the person closest to Ethan to fight him lah, but because dia orang tahu Ethan dia boleh, regardless of dia bukan like superhero or anything, but everyone knows that he has been portrayed as a character who can get shit done. Whatever happens, no matter what, dia akan get shit done. But when it comes to someone he cares about in the picture, benda tu is a problem for him. Sebab then dia dah ada dilema whether he needs to do this or he needs to save the person. So AI pun pakai benda tu lah, which is why it was important lah untuk tunjuk that benda ni dah learn the fact about he's not only learning information about Ethan, but he's learning all sort of information about everyone close to him, so that when the time comes, dia akan pakai benda tu as a weapon. That's why dia bawa balik Gabriel and someone he cared about died in front of him, and which we will learn lah kenapa maybe dia masuk dalam IMF in the first place. That everything, no matter how high tech, no matter how technical, will always comes down to something who Ethan cares about. Benda tu will always akan get into the picture, and this time around the stakes are much more higher lah, sebab this is not a person, ni bukan macam dalam third part Philip Seymour Hoffman kidnaps the wife, something. This is an entire entity going against him. So dia bukan just seorang, dia akan target Benji, dia akan target Luther, dia dah target Ilsa, dia akan wish his wife die, then dia akan target Grace, dia akan target everyone lah, which is which is close to him and who he cares for. So I think we will learn more lah how the AI will actually use benda ni against him. But for now, that airport scene tu, I think, of course lah, as a side track it works sebab to increase tensions. But if just track yang the track yang Grace dengan Ethan is going around, benda tu is just a very basic thing kan. Diorang cuba nak try to get this thing, try to exchange this thing, dia nampak that guy pass away. But having the nuclear track around increases the tension of the situation lah, where the punya implication is towards Ethan juga, because if they don't manage to stop the nuke bomb, benda tu tak ada function pun apa yang Ethan nak buat, regardless of whatever dia dapat tak dapat pendrive tu lah. So I think MI ni, I think there's a thing lah, they keep increasing the stakes, they keep increasing the tension, so that kita pun as an audience bila kita tengok, kita because especially if you are watching in the cinema kan, kita also are stuck in that, we are also in that room, 4x4 room, where kita pun akan rasa that tension that we also are not able to escape that particular situation.
Alright, okay. Cool. Okay. Untuk segmen ni kita ada beberapa soalan juga daripada audience. Untuk yang pertama daripada Tazam Muhammad, dia kata ni soalan ni aku tertanya. Time flashback Mamat rambut putih tu dulu memang dia ada dalam movie Mission Impossible dulu ke? Tak ada. Jawapan dia tak ada. Dia memang tak pernah muncul. Dan kita akan explore a bit pasal Gabriel ni untuk dekat segmen-segmen yang seterusnya nanti. Okay. Next soalan daripada Taza lagi. Dia kata masa review tolong bawa patung Barbie, okay? Hadir. Ini bila Barbie punya ke? Barbie punya nanti aku kena pinjam anak aku punya lah kot.
Terus tak ada lah macam ni.
Tak ada.
Aku tak tahu sebenarnya anak aku punya ada lagi ke tak. Saya dah donate dah pun.
Kita dah bawa gambar lagi lah. Macam tunjuk gambar je tak bawa Barbie kan.
Aduh. Alright, daripada Ahmad Haziq dia tanya, pada aku sayanglah dia matikan watak Elsa Faust tu. Member cantik kot untuk Mission Impossible. Okay, ini pun nanti kita akan explain sikit dekat next segment. So tunggu, korang stay tune. Daripada Makrul, Bang Adi layan tak, ini soalan menyimpang sikit. Dia kata Abang Adi layan tak siri The Righteous Gemstone kat HBO, genre black comedy and family business. Siri ni lebih kurang macam Succession. Kalau belum tengok, saya highly recommend untuk layan. Aku ada layan 1 ke 2 episod tak silap aku, tapi bukan sebab aku tak hook, tapi sebab aku macam terstop dan aku layan benda lain. So maybe aku akan sambung lagi. Tapi aku rasa Zainul kau layan kan?
Tengok satu season lah, aku just tengok first season. Ya, I think because just to this one that because macam dia pun mention Succession ni, I think a lot of people, the reason aku layan series ni pun dalam group Succession, orang suggest that this show is similar to Succession. In a way adalah similarities dia, but then I think because Succession dah set that bar that so high that if let's say kita tengok anything in mind that we need something to replace that, kita tak akan dapat lah. So my idea is that aku akan tunggu the Succession punya ni keluar dari kepala aku, the all to
barulah
the young, then maybe aku rasa boleh move on to show.
Betul. It's like macam every time kalau ada siri fantasy ataupun pasal medieval yang baru keluar, orang akan cakap this is the new Game of Thrones, this is the new Game of Thrones. Tapi bila kita tengok no, it's not.
Exactly, itulah. Overhype tu yang
overhype lebih sangat. Alright, Nick Syafiq Iqbal tanya, James Bond versus Mission Impossible lah, mana lagi korang suka? Jawab jujur. Okay, bagi aku sebenarnya agak berlainan sikit. Kalau pasal ni bagi aku dua-dua franchise ni agak berlainan sikit. Sebab James Bond kita tahu dia daripada dia ada macam versi James Bond, dan juga walaupun konsep dia tu lebih kurang sama, spy dengan spy kan. Dia dua-dua aku tak boleh jawab benda sebab dua-dua pun ada dia punya kelebihan dan juga kelemahan dia tau. Mungkin korang boleh jawab. Iki dulu, tadi Iki aku nampak kau dah excited nak jawab tadi.
Aku macam ni, aku senang je. Aku nampak franchise, if I don't get to jump ship on it, I leave. So just why it's like that. Sebab it's already been a long study franchise like decades old, or I don't know how old it will be.
Do you watch all of them?
Tak. No.
Yeah,
That's why.
that's the problem.
Because
Sama lah.
yeah. Because I didn't like jump on it, forget it. So by default, Mission Impossible I'm now.
Betul. Yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, it's just unfair to me to compare.
Betul.
So I can
Yeah.
only say for sure that I love Mission Impossible, but I cannot say anything about James Bond because I haven't really watched James Bond. Not even Daniel Craig punya version, not Sean Connery or anything like that. So I can't say.
Betul.
I think
Yeah.
kalau kita nak compare, Mission Impossible tu kena compare dengan I think just Daniel Craig ni lah.
Ya,
Because
betul.
those movies are like one set of film. MI is just Tom Cruise from first till last, and the style, even dia bertukar, is the same sensibility lah. Whereas James Bond daripada start awal mula-mula dia ultra high tech gadget punya, where it goes over the top. Then ada some movies aku pernah tengok, I can't remember the name, tapi it's more on the comedy punya side, where the humor is a lot more than compared to dia punya thrill. Akan ada Pierce Brosnan punya which are more reminiscent to MI2, where you know there's a lot of style and a lot of
Yes.
Pierce Brosnan akan buka sunglass dia dengan rambut dia so
The invisible vehicle.
It was bekal.
so bagi aku, if let's say if you ask me right now, aku akan choose MI lah, because benda ni I've seen from first till last. If compared to Daniel Craig, but yang I think first Casino Royale was one movie which I really enjoyed, tapi aku dah after Casino Royale aku tak rasa ada mana-mana James Bond movie Daniel Craig yang live up to that Casino Royale punya standard pun. Whereas MI dia keeps reinventing kita, even though you may or may not enjoy the movie, tapi there is like the stunt factor where kita tahu that okay, kita tengok kita boleh appreciate the fact that macam mana Tom Cruise buat stunt ni. Whereas dekat James Bond is just strictly just relies on the movie and the character. If let's say macam dalam Skyfall, I think ada character Javier Bardem as a villain, which I think became a lot more popular than the James Bond character himself. After that, I think they brought back I think dia akan ada callbacks lah to different, but then even if you ask me right now, aku tak boleh recall that if there's any particular scene or any particular story arc yang betul-betul interesting dari James Bond ni. But ultimately it's just about that one character and semua whatever is emotionally attached to him. And I think in the last movie dia orang resolve balik semua tu. I think the last movie is a lot more emotional compared to all the other previous James Bond movie. Ada orang, if I'm not mistaken, criticism yang the final movie got was that benda tu lah, that it doesn't feel like James Bond movie. It feels more like, it feels something like Logan, where it's like a final resolution for this character, so they try to tie up a lot of emotional arcs and a lot of character arcs, where they dah tak ada feeling James Bond to itself, which I think Daniel Craig punya movie is tak maintain lah. If someone who enjoys a high tech kind of gadget punya James Bond might not really appreciate the Daniel Craig. But okay lah, if you ask me James Bond versus Mission Impossible, aku tak pilih dua-dua. Aku pilih Badshah.
I don't even know what that is.
Badshah tapau semua weh.
Badshah terus kau petik kan.
I mean that okay lah, kalau if kalau nak cari watak yang ikonik, of course James Bond. Bagi aku lah, James Bond is much more iconic than Ethan Hunt lah in the spy genre. Sebab kita sebut nama James Bond, orang already know kan who is James Bond, even though dah banyak pelakon lah apa semua lah. Tapi kalau tanya aku, I really didn't like Daniel Craig punya version of James Bond, because macam apa yang ayah aku cakap lah, ayah aku one of the fan for James Bond kan. Dia pernah layan Roger Moore punya, Sean Connery apa semua. Aku just layan Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig je. Aku paling suka of course lah Pierce Brosnan punya lah. But dia is aku punya, he is my James Bond lah personally kan. Apa yang macam ayah aku cakap is that Daniel Craig punya James Bond is not really James Bond anymore. Dia dah terlalu grounded. Dia dah terlalu dia dah tak ada macam pakai gadget, dia dah tak ada spy apa semua. Dia dah
tak campy kan.
Dia dah tak campy. So bagi aku, kalau MGM ke ataupun siapa-siapa yang dah beli franchise James Bond, bring back that campiness of James Bond. bagi aku that superhero punya James Bond. Sebab kalau kau tengok Pierce Brosnan, even Roger Moore punya version ke apa ke, kau boleh kira tau berapa banyak kali sebenarnya dia dah mati, dia boleh mati tapi dia tak mati. Sebab he is James Bond. That's why dia tak mati. Itu tau. Dia ada plot armor yang sangat-sangat tebal. Dekat Daniel Craig dah tak ada. Dia dah tak ada benda tu. Kau dah rasa macam taklah kata weak, tapi very grounded lah. Memang very grounded. That's why dia really like Quantum of Solace semua. Skyfall je paling aku suka pun. Itu pun macam dia trying to macam nak reboot balik the franchise kan. After that, lepas tu dia dah go downhill balik. The character memang dah totally bukan James Bond punya character dah. So hopefully kalau diorang nak reboot lagi sekali, diorang nak recast balik, cari yang betul-betul klasik James Bond yang boleh kembali ke zaman Pierce Brosnan, zaman Sean Connery dulu.
Diorang akan buat lah. Sebab I think box office collection wise pun it's not that impressive pun. I think initially people were excited to watch Daniel Craig, but then towards the later part they realised that they are not actually getting James Bond ni, yang the proper James Bond character cakap-cakap can be over the top. I think people crave that lah sebab kita dah banyak pun. I mean even a lot of movie yang bukan franchise movie pun akan offer this grounded espionage punya genre. Like franchise films, blockbuster films are supposed to offer something a lot more than that kan, like ada that over the top blockbuster element. Let's see what happens.
So itulah hopefully kita tengoklah.
Adik. Plot armor James Bond kan, dia punya plot armor dia lagi tebal ke daripada Mamat dekat dalam Mortal Kombat baru? Watak utama ada plot armor tebal kan? Siapa yang plot armor lagi tebal, James Bond ke Mamat tu?
Mamat tu bukan sangat plot armor, literally dapat dia punya armor sendiri pula tu kan.
Literally plot armor.
Aku rasa memandangkan James Bond ni dah berapa puluh tahun, 50 ke 60 tahun, confirm dia punya lagi tebal lah daripada Mamat tu.
Mamat tu James Bond punya figurative armor lagi kuat daripada
figurative armor lagi tebal. Cuma sampai ke hujung je, No Time to Die tu je. Tu je dia punya plot armor dah expired dah.
Cokia ni dia pakai.
Okay. Alright, next question dari Suresh. Dengan cerita ada 4-hour cut untuk MI Nyatakan part 1. Patutkah kita memulakan gerakan kultur seperti release The Snyder Cut untuk menonton versi ni? Aku rasa macam 2 jam setengah pun tak terasa lama. And the funny part is that 2 jam setengah there's not much revelation pun about the entity, about Gabriel apa semua, tapi dia boleh stretch 2 jam setengah sebab of the action semua. What make it interesting yang membuat aku tertanya, so 4-hour cut tu apa dia nak tunjuk sebenarnya? Kita dah dapat all the ni kan. Adakah kita dapat tengok Tom Cruise lompat gaung lah lebih daripada 8 kali? Macam mana? But yeah, if ada, of course Suresh boleh buat session 4 hour dekat apa ni
masa
release the McQuarrie cut.
Apa dia?
Masa dia jatuh after motorbike tu, mungkin dia tunjuk slow mo kot. So dia tunjuk macam mana dia masuk dalam train. Kita tak nampak kan scene dia macam mana dia pergi train tu. It's just that dia tunjuk masa dia orang dah dalam train, dia tiba-tiba dia masuk kan. So maybe dia akan follow that characters daripada atas tu sampailah dia masuk dalam train.
Dia nak pakai logik sikit macam mana dia boleh masuk tepat-tepat. Mungkin daripada jauh dia dah nampak ke.
That kind of situation memang timing pun tepat-tepat kot. Not only dia punya location tu, timing.
Boleh kot. Kita mulakan kempen release the McQuarrie cut. Let's go.
Aku jujur aku rasa tak payah kot sebab masa Snyder Cut tu kita tahu anak Zack Snyder bunuh diri kan. He has to like quit obviously because he's human and he wants to get back to his family. But then Joss Whedon came in and he just like take the things that are not good about Marvel and bring it to DC, and it kind of like destroys everything, and it's kind of like a big impact because Justice League is just as important as Avengers, it's like a equivalent, right? So to me, that entire thing is a big. I don't blame Joss Whedon, even though I like to call it Justice League. It's a funny meme, but I blame the studio because the studio don't know how to bring the right person to handle the job, to brush up. Instead, he bring in a person that changes the whole tone. That's why I think the movement makes sense. That's why I am against releasing the A-year cut of Suicide Squad, because I know that movie is shit, and the longer cut will just prove the movie to be shittier. When it comes to the Snyder cut, it's like I'm just glad to see his old vision. And don't get me wrong, the 4-hour plus version is not a good movie. It's still a bad movie. But I just enjoy it when I watch it, because the true voice of a director trumps the shit studio that makes stupid decision after stupid decision after stupid decision. I mean, like, come on, what's wrong with Superman with mustache? Like, mustache, facial hair is one of the most manliest thing ever. It's like one of the most masculine thing ever. Like, just keep the stash. I don't get why in Fallout he has the stash, so in Justice League they have to
CGI
CGI out. It's so stupid and it's dumb. I think it's really, really dumb. So Snyder Cut, I think that's the reason why we need to have the Snyder Cut. Most other movies, I don't think so. Not even this one. I know, like, Suraj meant it as a joke, but like, as a joke, again, I don't enjoy Sharknado and stupid stuff like that. And if it's gonna be like a bunch of bloopers, I don't want that. And I think most movies, they cut it down purposefully. Ada sebab, maybe there's too much fat, you know, they just want the meat, right? So in that sense, I don't think we need to release the McQuarrie cut or something like that. So yeah, no for me.
Cool. Alright, soalan lagi satu untuk Brother Siki, daripada Norman Effendi, one of our friend juga. Is Grace an annoying character?
No, she's not.
Okay,
She's a nice addition. Yeah.
So hopefully menjawab, Norman, soalan kau. So pergi tengok Mission Impossible.
Let me add this one thing. Yeah, when you like try to rank her, you know, I think quantifiably you can say Atwell is a hot person, but he's not my taste. With that said, I don't think she's an annoying character. So when I say no, she's not annoying, not because she's not annoying because she's hot. No, she's just not annoying.
She's not annoying. Yes.
Yeah, she's not annoying character lah. Alright, okay. Hopefully itu menjawab. Okay, that's it. Kita punya untuk segmen di Abu Dhabi ni, kita pergi ke segmen kita yang seterusnya bila tim agent tim Ethan Hunt dan juga IMF pergi ke Rome. Alright, let's go. Okay. Okay, soalan untuk dan juga saya, apakah pendapat korang tentang kenalan watak Paris lakonan Tom Clemente sebagai henchman terbaru versus Ethan Hunt? I mean, like, Hummer versus Fiat. Fiat 500. Strong silent type. So apa pendapat korang tentang Tom Clemente sebagai Paris dalam filem ni?
Macam orang kata one of those like in MI there's so many interesting characters and then you add her, it feels like macam it's just another henchwoman. I think walaupun orang kata the things that she does looks to pass off like she's like this uncaring kind of like dickhead or something, tapi bila tengok dia macam this is a waste of character, right? Personally, right? I think. Yes.
I personally think that she's just a plot device. She's just there for the ending. That's it. I have no other comment.
Yeah.
Even that's it.
Faham.
But in terms of eye candy, I look at her more than Atwell. It's more my taste.
Atwell tak esophagus.
Dia terlalu banyak dah. Dia Elliot tu ada pegang fokus betul. Tambah Tom Clemente. Okay, kita terima je. Macam tu lah.
Okay. So to me, Mantis false at Atwell. So,
okay, I see. Cool. Zainul, ada tambah ke berkenaan watak Paris ni? Okay, kau ada input kau sendiri.
proses dia ada at least dia adalah satu scene tu yang fight scene yang dalam narrow alley dengan Ethan.
Was good.
That was quite, strictly shot lah. Dia even dalam gelap, tapi bila dia tunjuk dua orang, it reminded me a bit of Raid punya fight scene where like two people are coming at him at one time, so dia kena dua sekali kan. And agak laju kan scene tu, like it was shot quite in a fast pace, so benda tu okay lah, interesting. But macam Syafiq cakap, ultimately her role dalam tu was as a plot device. But okay, it was interesting lah, the part yang masa Gabriel bagi tahu that I think you're going to betray, like immediately after he kills off the other guy, dia akan cakap, I know because he saved your life, you're going to betray us. Means dia dah daripada awal dah anticipate dah. So benda tu was something interesting lah, which is not, Gabriel bukan dapat tahu benda tu sebab dia punya hunch. It was teknologi yang reveal that something macam, means dia orang dah boleh anticipate future lah, so he knows that he can use that thing to predict karakter mana akan buat apa lepas ni, buat apa lepas ni. Everything is connected. Like, because he saved her life, he's going to betray. Because this happened, that will happen. Because this happened, that will happen. So okay lah, means of course because you have Elliot Well, you have Ilsa punya character pun at least until half the movie. You have so many other interesting characters. Dia nampak, because kalau kita perasan dalam promotional material, dia banyak pakai dia punya gambar apa semua. So she's there because she's already popular with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. So she's like a known name. So having her of course will get people who macam Syafiq sendiri cakap, he prefers her to Elliot Well. So akan nampak, means for some people who are her fan, benda tu is like a bonus for in the movie lah. But benda ni is ultimately more about, even kita tengok, it's not just about the characters in the movie, it's because of that person punya fan base juga. If you have someone which a large fan base, even dia tak ada role sangat dalam tu pun, if dah letak, like if you randomly pergi letak Harry Styles in the next movie, jadi aku rasa boleh dapat collection double daripada sekarang punya ni kot. Even letak 5 saat punya role ke apa. So benda ni matters lah, we have to accept that dalam zaman all this social media and reels and TikTok punya ni, where celebrities have their own set of like fan base. So of course studios akan pakai benda tu lah untuk try and make their movie a lot more appealing to different people. And also the most importantly, the diversity factor. Sebab it's not, MI isn't exactly like a diverse franchise. We don't have that many Asian. Sorry, aku tak sure dia apa nationality dia exactly.
She's French.
French.
Oh, she's French.
She's French. Yeah.
So maybe they are trying to diversify lah, to have a lot more different diverse characters. Moving forward mungkin satu benda aku respect MI ni, dia orang tak sekam to this. As of now, all this woke movement or apa, they haven't really sekam randomly. Dia tak ada try to change characters or try to change story arc just for the sake of making certain section of people happy. So but at the same time, dia kena ada lah those sort of tiny, this one dia kena throw, so that people can't exactly accuse it of being completely white male franchise or something. But she did her part. She died at the end. So tengoklah next movie siapa lagi dibawa.
Soalan untuk Zainul. Apakah pendapat kau tentang cara pengarah Christopher McQuarrie merakam babak aksi kacis di Rom versus cara dalam Fast 10 yang diarahkan oleh pengarah Louis Leterrier, filem bukan kacis dekat dalam di Rom juga dalam filem Fast 10. Comparekan dua-dua.
Okay lah, aku pun teknik, I can't be that technical about it.
Yeah.
So bagi aku it's just, I'll tell it from like a layman's point of view. I think benda ni, it depends, it actually is connected to the movie itself lah. Like Fast 10 is a franchise, masa aku tengok, I know I'm not taking it seriously at all. So whatever happened dalam part, I think dia, if I'm not mistaken, dalam Fast 10 dia tengah, dalam Fast X dia orang cuba dia tengah cuba divert bomb tu or something ke is that what happened dalam Fast X punya car chase?
Was it
Dia-
up like a bomb like
Dia ada
rolling?
bom, dia orang tengah kejar bom.
Dia tengah cuba elak bom tu. Dia tengah cuba bawa bom tu supaya tak berlanggar building.
Dia tak meletup dekat tengah-tengah bandar Venice tu lah, Rome tu lah.
Minimize the damage.
In that movie is of course part that car chase is strictly untuk showcase Vin Diesel punya this one lah. Because in the movie dia sendiri, I think there was rumors that he was a bit frustrated that Jason Momoa stole the thunder from him, and like Jason Momoa got a lot of moments to shine, especially character moments, dialogue, conversations. So Vin Diesel dapat, I think that was his moment to shine lah, that one particular car chase scene. Dalam MI, I think it's a lot more connected to Ethan punya character because kita tahu that scene tu is the stakes is completely different. Yang macam in Fast X kita tahu that whatever happens memang benda bom tu takkan meletup tengah bandar. Kita tahu like whatever they want to happen will happen. Like you know that regardless of whatever is going on that they will win at the end. Whereas dalam MI, even though it's a movie, tapi the stakes are a lot more realistic. In stance that benda tu is not just for the sake of Ethan was trying to save the whole city ke apa. It was a lot more personal. He was just trying to escape the goons and he was dengan masa tu. So car chase of course lah dalam MI is just another action set piece. Memang and like part yang kereta pusing-pusing tu, I think that was something which was not done in any other MI movie. Part yang kereta kecil tu masa dekat bawah dia orang cuba nak escape dengan yang punya karakter tu. But overall tak tahulah, aku tak rasa there's not much like difference I could say from a technical point of view lah. I mean it's just that one movie is just for the sake of it, while the other movie you can actually sense the reason, because you actually care for the character ultimately. Like Fast X, you don't really care about any of the characters, especially Dom is I think the character people care the least about dalam Fast X or any of the Fast and Furious movies. Whereas dalam ni you have Ethan and you have Grace, dua character dalam kereta tu which they had been establishing from the start. You know that Ethan of course and Grace also they want to establish that she's going to become a much more impactful character. So the focus I think dalam tu, it wasn't ultimately about the car lah. It was ultimately about what is going to happen to both of them, what is going to happen to Grace, whether she survive that or whether she escape, and after that whatever siapa akan confront diorang. And after the car chase ends, I think yang the cops yang datang cari Ethan, dua orang tu, diorang pun datang dari belakang, dan daripada the other side the villains came. So it was ultimately a lot more about the character lah, not much about the chase itself.
Dia yang menarik tu sebab kita tahu dalam Fast 10 dengan dalam Mission Impossible memang ada banyak diorang shoot kat location-location yang lain-lain kan. Tapi yang Rome punya location ni is specially made, specially film for the car chase sequence saja. Dia macam at least macam kalau dekat Abu Dhabi kita tahu pasal apa, dekat Venice kita tahu dia pasal apa. Tapi yang untuk dekat Rome ni specifically use that location untuk that action scene saja tau. Dalam Fast 10 pun sama juga. So it's quite interesting lah tengok dua-dua filem macam mana they utilize the location and how they creatively buat that car chase sequence. Okay, alright. Ada apa-apa ke Iki dengan Syafiq ada tambah tak ada
I can add. I can agree mostly, but the thing is I want to say macam masa Fast X tu it wants to focus more on the action, the adrenaline pumping, and then the one liners from Jason Momoa, and then of course focus on Dom doing this like sikit-sikit langgar the ball, which is like the typical macam nyaris-nyaris stuff that happens in Fast X. Comparatively, yes, in terms of like bendanya CP terlanggar tu elak ni semua, memang MI seem like shooting like in the same kind of way. But what's different to me is the writing. Whereas one focuses more, Fast X focuses more on the sensationalization of things, you know, it downplays the fact that they're blowing up apa nama ni, Mr. Nobody Junior, and then like the other stuff that's going on, right? In the movie MI is actually a character build up and the chemistry build up with the character of Atwell and Cruz, because in this like dekat dalam movie ni dia tunjukkan how she started from not trusting him to trusting him, and also shows her flaw that she doesn't know how to drive, but at the same time it shows later on masa dekat dalam apa tu kereta api tu, she is like always thinking. So dia kan keluar daripada gari tu dulu. But at the same time, she's also not a heartless person because she does give Ethan the same pain that got her out. This is that she got herself out first so she can escape from Ethan and all the other parties. So in that sense, I think the difference is just one focuses more on action, the other focuses more on the character build up.
But also, I think it has to be said lah that Fast X punya scene pun was done well. It's not just that terbagi kredit pada MI that they pull off something like that in a more plus CV ke apa just because of that Fast X. Like I think because both of them are completely different movies with different sensibilities kan. Like you watch Fast X for completely different reason, you watch MI for completely different reason. So I think it was done well lah. Like I think credit to Fast X sebab dengan benda yang merepek dalam Fast 9, it was I think too over the top. Like Fast X brought back to a more grounded, a bit more level which people could actually connect to, rather than the stakes were felt also lah, even though it was just for the sake of action, tak ada apa-apa pasal karakter apa sangat, tapi at least for me that scene seemed entertaining lah in the big screen macam MI punya juga. So I mean credit to both films lah that they managed to pull off what they were trying to do. Tak dengar.
Sorry, aku termute. Okay, kita ke next segment untuk bila Ethan dan tim dia pergi ke Venice pula. Okay, let's go. Oh, sorry. Okay, soalan untuk Zainul. Apakah pendapat kau tentang kepulangan One Video adalah sebagai satu entiti untuk mengumpul kunci form kembali serta reveal as just another entity.
Tak dengar.
Sorry?
Ulang sebab tak dengar tadi.
Tak dengar. Okay, sekejap. Okay, sekejap. Sorry, aku rasa aku punya mikrofon ada problem sikit. Okay, untuk Zainul, apakah pendapat kau? Kena dengar tak?
No, I can dengar you tapi ada tidak super. I realize setiap kali kalau buat transition tu dia akan ada beberapa saat whatever that is said dia akan macam even like stream sebut with Nick pun macam tu juga.
So kena delay sikit soalan.
Ya. Okay, kena delay sikit soalan. Alright.
10 seconds then start question maybe after every transition.
Alright, soalan
Alright, cool. Boleh. Okay, untuk Zainul, soalan untuk Zainul, apakah pendapat kau tentang kepulangan White Widow lakonan Vanessa Kirby sebagai catur The Entity untuk mengumpul kunci cruciform kembali, serta Grace pun direvealkan sebagai another entity punya chess piece dalam permainan entity tu. Alright.
So I think benda ni was quite interesting lah sebab we have noticed that semua movie MI at least since Ford dia akan bawa balik one character, they will keep the thing connected sebab kita tak nampak sangat this Vanessa Kirby punya character explore that much dalam Fallout. It was interesting what she did dalam Fallout. I think she was a bit one note in the sense that dia tunjuk she was in the middle person yang akan manage jual beli transaction between two parties apa. Tapi dalam ni they went deeper into character in the sense that dia bagi tahu where ada part yang Ethan bagi tahu kat dia lah ya jangan jual apa semua, but she did it out of fear. So at least nampak there is an emotional there's an emotional core to the character, which I think we didn't see in Fallout. Whereas dalam ni, it was not just a simple transaction, it was not just about money, about contacts or about networking, which she always mentioned. This time around, she was genuinely afraid kalau dia tak buat apa yang Gabriel suruh tu, her life would be in danger. So sebab tu bila dalam train punya scene, I think masa Haley Atwell dekat tengah pretend as to become a secretary pun, benda tu seem believable lah. It was not something which was completely out of place. Even Haley Atwell tengah nervous masa tu, it showed other people also tak ada macam taken aback. But they also realise that karakter Melissa Kirby, Elena ni pun tengah nervous juga masa tu. Maybe for different reasons, but she also knows that she is now entangled dalam benda ni. This is like a much bigger thing at play. So bagi aku quite interesting lah that they bawa balik masuk Elena dalam tu, at the same time they involve. And again, I think it comes back to the same thing lah, the same point about how diorang entity ni akan entanglekan semua apa-apa yang ada kaitan dengan Ethan, just because diorang tahu that that's the only way they can defeat him. Because they know that they dah sense that dia dah tahu that Ethan is going to destroy. Means they can already see somewhere in the future that Ethan memang akan destroy entity ni. So entity ni now is just trying its best to try to counter back, do whatever it can lah. Then benda tu start with getting Gabriel into the picture, someone who is from his past, then involving Ilsa in the picture, then slowly getting Grace, slowly getting Elena. But Elena pun, Ethan doesn't actually have any problems with her. Like even in the first, even your punya relationship pun was, even then pun ada some sort of sexual tension between the both of them, because that is important untuk maintain relationship antara dua characters. So Elena also was never actually portrayed as an out and out villain ke. She was just there, someone like a businesswoman yang is there, like diorang tunjuk like her brother was someone which with a bit more like villainous streak, yang a bit more like on the proper like bad guy side. Elena ni dia just tunjuk as a neutral character who macam Kittridge, who ada agenda dia sendiri. Dia bukan dalam side siapa-siapa, dia akan dalam side mana yang diorang rasa kepentingan diorang lies on that particular aspect, dia akan choose that side. So I guess in the third part, in the second part, aku tak tahulah how they are going to bring. Aku tak boleh nak envision lagi what role she's going to play, but I'm sure there must be some sort of role. But in this movie, again, quite interesting, diorang pakai dia lah, but at the same time, she was also a plot device because they wanted that scene where Haley Atwell pakai mask and apa semua replaces her. So there needed to be one. She was the most character yang made most sense lah to be in the train to make that transaction. Sebab no point diorang bawa karakter lain untuk jual beli, because diorang, the reason they keep repeating all the same characters, Elena bawa balik Kittridge and bawa balik all the same character in the play there, because we already have a relationship with these characters. Kita dah expose dengan diorang in previous movies, from the first until Fallout, kita dah kenal all these characters dah. So having them coming back again and again, as long as diorang punya role tu is they are there for a reason lah, not just for the sake of it. With Elena, memang AI do them itself needed the key, so diorang tahu that a character like that, a character yang a middle person who akan uruskan transaction, it makes sense for someone like her to be there lah. So aku rasa that in part 2 maybe they will explore character more, but for now I think she was there for a reason. I think she did her part well.
Okay, cool. Thanks Zainul. Okay, soalan untuk Brother Sadi. Okay, apakah pendapat korang tentang kematian watak Ilsa Faust? Aku dah lebih kefokusan dalam filem ini. I mean that kita dah tengok marathon ni, kita dah quite invested dengan watak dia daripada Rogue Nation. And then lepas tu dalam ni pula McQuarrie cuba nak bunuh Ilsa Faust sebanyak 2 kali dalam filem ni kan. Masa awal-awal dekat opening, and then second time obviously lah kalau second time dah macam tu confirm macam okay, confirm mati lah. Dia pula dah bagi hint kan waktu dia orang dekat Venice dah macam nak lebih-lebih dengan Ethan apa semua, suddenly tiba-tiba tak dapat pula. Sama pendapat korang bila watak Ilsa Force tu dimatikan dalam filem ni?
Bagi aku sepanjang MI ni berlangsung kan, from the first until That Reckoning Part 1, Ilsa Force is best waifu. And tapi kan sebenarnya from like was it Ghost Protocol, lepas tu Faith Rock Nation she was introduced kan.
Ya, Rock Nation.
Sebenarnya dari situ lagi dah nampak dah apa orang kata in that you keep tempting fate, and also bila dia dah start ada macam sort of like romantic tension dengan Tom Cruise dengan Ethan Hunt kan, whereas like Ethan Hunt couldn't be with his wife, so dia terpaksa let her go kan, the wife tu. So macam in a way is trying to go back in even though she has all the chances to go out just to be with like fill the void of Ethan Hunt kan, punya love interest or some sort of romantic interest. So dia dah tahu what is the fate. I mean kita tengok MI3 kan, what happens when Ethan Hunt tries to have a love life. Apa nama isteri dia tu? I forgot. Julia. When dia ada Julia as dia punya wife, Julia almost like died and everything, like in like that situation. So with that established, bila Ilsa ni trying to keep coming back in even though there's all the peluang untuk keluar daripada all these spy shenanigans, memang you asking for it lah. I mean I'm sad. I'm sad about that. Tapi sebab dia dah establish that dia memang macam aku nak masuk juga, so aku dah dengan Ethan kau memang cik pasal. So macam
sebab even kalau kita callback balik dekat dalam Fallout, Luther dah cakap dengan Ilsa dah waktu dia orang dekat Kashmir kan, pasal backstory, pasal sejarah Ethan dengan Julia apa semua. So kalau kau nak selamat, kalau kau nak selamatkan the whole team, kau better jangan rapat dah dengan Ethan kan. But dia tak boleh nak restrain benda tu. So sekarang tengoklah dia punya consequences.
Itulah, I'm sad my best waifu died, but that's for the story, man.
Yeah. In terms of waifu, I forgot there's Vanessa Kirby also in here. So
ada ranking ni, tambah.
Top nombor 2 kan, Mantis nombor 2 saya. So Vanessa Kirby nombor 1.
Lupa Vanessa Kirby dang.
Alright. So to me, I'm not really that sad and sad at the same time. Here's why. Okay, for one, we can already see since MI3 kan, dia dah start try to want to settle down kan. And then in MI4 dia dah start berpisah dengan Julia. Dia bukan macam bercerai officially tau. Or maybe they did officially but not emotionally, meaning that they still think of each other like husband and wife. It's just that they go their separate ways because Julia at the end of the day at that time is still a nurse. She is just a civilian comparatively to a super agent like Ethan Hunt. But when he does meet Faust in the Rogue Nation movie, he finds that she is very conflicted. So in that movie, for context sake, she's part of MI6, the British intelligence, right? But then she was sent undercover to join the IMF group, right? The terrorist group, and they wanted funding from several entities, right, to several country governments to give him all the money so he can fund his own operation, right? What's that character again? The villain, I forgot. He's the one that is in Fallout and the one in Rogue Nation. But anyways,
Solomon Lane, is it?
Solomon, yeah. So the thing is she's stuck between that, and also when she meets Ethan, she's more like on the side of Ethan, and you really focus on that movie and Fallout. She's more like she doesn't care about the other team members being alive, but she cares about Ethan being alive. So as you can see, she is a very torn person because she's always in this dilemma of having to pick sides. Do I go back to MI6? Do I go with Ethan, or are they all bullshit? Maybe they need to destroy IMF. Maybe they need to destroy the British and the US. And maybe he should just join Solomon Lane, right? But and then towards the end of Road Nation, she already got an out. But in the sixth movie, in Fallout, she wants to go back in. She's trying to kill Solomon Lane now to rejoin the MI6. But Ethan already told her that you already out. Why are you coming back in, right? So when we come to the seventh movie, she's just there because the AI played her. And I think it is like the bigger thing is the bigger picture for what I can see so far is like, so that's the character of Gabriel, right? He is like very much as AI a person could be, with his emotionless, but he's still human, as we can see towards the end where he's scream at the top of his lungs when he didn't get the key. It's like, Ethan! So we know that Gabriel is still human, and the AI already knows that. So he's just using him as a test, as one side of the coin. The other side is Ethan, full of emotions. But the difference between Ilsa now and Ethan is that Ethan, even though he's full of emotions, he knows what he's fighting for. He's not fighting for the American government. He's not fighting for like his crew. He's more fighting for like the true justice. But along the way, he makes sure that everybody's life in his crew is more important than his, right? So he's very determined and very focused on making sure that happens. But when he looks at Ilsa is to focus on picking sides. So in this case, she's the picking side of the Ethan side, which is because of that she is like too focused on love, I guess, not really focused on the bigger mission. So because of that, she's kind of like distracted. So when the movie happens, when I watched that movie, I was kind of sad that she died, because she's undercooked in that movie. She don't have that many lines, and I don't like when she wears the eye patch. I think the entire scene in the desert looks kind of cheap. I could be wrong. Maybe they try to make it realistic, and because I never been in the sandstorm, like there may be like the as realistic as it gets. Is that I don't see it compared to things in movie land. So I could be wrong on that part, but I don't really enjoy that. So she doesn't have that much line, and she doesn't have much to do, and then she dies. So I kind of sad, because not because she died, because again, as I established in the other movies, right? It kind of makes sense that she was gonna die since Rogue One, since the beginning, anyways. And towards the end, she becomes a ghost, right? She's supposed to be a ghost, and she wants to come back in the sixth movie, right? So in this movie, when she died, I'm like, I think it's about time. But the thing is how undercooked she is, particularly in this movie. That's why I'm sad for her. How she goes like that, not that she died. You know what I mean? And then in terms of like her death too, it makes sense because what the eye says that she, she is like a 1% is going to die. And you have to remember, like all these people all have to do with you know what I mean, Ethan Hunt. The White Widow, she's like the daughter of Max. Both have to do with Ethan Hunt. Kittridge have to do with Ethan Hunt. Ilsa has to do with Ethan Hunt. It's just that they are all chess pieces, and then I already told him one of them is gonna die, so one of them is gonna die. And how does he know? It's not because what they call Gabriel is the best fighter ever, because you have to understand, Gabriel is working for the AI. What does AI do? It collects data. What data that it collects? The fighting style of each and every person that has to do with Ethan, including Grace, the newest character like in his life, right? So because it knows all the battle data of everyone, like he tells the entity tells Gabriel exactly how to fight each and every one of them. And it doesn't, like, it can be anyone, but in this case, that one is Ilsa. So in terms of logically, would she die in this movie? it makes sense. Should she die in this movie? It makes sense. But the fact that she's undercooked in this movie, that the one that doesn't like stick well to me. So I don't, that's how I feel. I'm not really sad that she died. It's just that she died in the wrong movie, I guess. In the movie that she's undercooked.
Cool. Alright, aku rasa tu je untuk segmen yang keempat ni, iaitu lokasi di Venice. So kita pergi terus ke segmen yang seterusnya yang paling kita tunggu-tunggukan, stunt yang gila daripada Tom Cruise di atas gaung tu. Okay, let's go. Alright, soalan untuk Zainul, apakah pendapat kau tentang
Suara kau hilang.
10 saat.
Sorry.
Okay, ulang balik.
Okay, aku ulang balik. Sorry, aku dah lama tak edit host, so tu dia kena refresh balik. Apakah untuk Zainul, apakah pendapat kau tentang wishlist pelakon Tom Cruise idamkan stunt motorcycle dan pengarah Christopher McQuarrie idamkan stunt kereta api menjadi two set piece utama dalam third act, function before form and set pieces before plot. So Zainul, kau punya pendapat?
So I guess by this time I think kita pun dah aware that we as an audience pun kita look forward what Tom Cruise what crazy stunt he's going to pull off in the next movie, like starting from Ghost Protocol dengan Burj Khalifa, after that the plane in Malaysia with the underwater scene, the helicopter scene in Fallout, and then I know yang ni jumping off the cliff. I mean at this moment of time kita tahu that whatever kita tengok, whatever plot apa dia nak bagi AI ke, dia nak bagi whatever, no matter how advanced, how high tech, the main attraction is going to be what Tom Cruise is actually going to do in terms of stunt, like what kind of more boundaries he's going to push, how he's going to push himself further. Dia pun tengah getting older and older, even though kita tak tahu, maybe it's a different Tom Cruise we have been seeing, we have no idea. But then that's the selling point of these movies lah. So some might say it's gimmicky, or some might say it's like done to that now, but as long as it keeps entertaining us, then I mean who are we to complain? Like personally, if you ask me, the train scene tu lah aku rasa was the highlight of the movie for me. The cliff one, I think maybe because dah banyak kali kita tengok, I think you guys, if korang tengok IMAX banyak, memang I think you see the entire promotional part,
Dah bosan lah.
making part of it lah. Aku yang tengok sekali, 2 kali, 4 cinema pun aku rasa dah okay lah, cukup lah, aku dah tahu benda ni. But I mean because the scene in the movie itself, dia tu sekejap kan, it's just like one cliff. The train scene itself is a lot more intense in the sense because it keeps going and going. Dia lompat di satu gerabak sampai the end where I know yang dia orang diselamatkan oleh karakter tu, Tom tu. So but ultimately I think benda ni works is because of Tom Cruise punya conviction lah. What separates him than other action stars, like you can see dekat dia punya muka expression dia, even from the first Mission Impossible sampai lah the last, you can see the tension, urat dengan peluh, dengan mata semua ditarik. Benda tu yang sebenarnya I think is what makes us feel that we can relate to him at the moment. Kalau dia jadikan Ethan Hardy someone yang boleh buat semua benda, but at the same time he doesn't feel the heat, doesn't feel the tension, doesn't feel the stress, I think it's very hard for us as an audience pun to engage with any of this one. At the end, dalam contoh, I mean if any other action star, contoh The Rock lah, I don't think so The Rock akan jadi seorang karakter yang towards the end diselamatkan oleh orang lain. Sebab Tom Cruise pun last tu kalau apa nama karakter Tom tu nama dia?
Siapa? Pom.
Paris.
Tak, bukan ada yang selamatkan diorang towards the end tu.
The guy ke apa?
Tak, the girl yang selamatkan
Paris.
Paris. Siapa?
Paris.
Sorry. So aku tak rasa someone like The Rock will be willing to have himself like saved by some other character towards the end lah. So what makes Tom Cruise punya this one exciting, like he does all these crazy stunts, they pull off apa semua ni, but there's also like a human aspect there where
Yeah.
you know, he's a human being, dia boleh give up, dia sendiri pun feels the tension, dia feels he's nervous, he's not just nervous untuk orang lain, he's nervous for himself juga. Dia pun tahu that there's a chance that he's not going to make it, there's a chance he's not going to survive. You can always sense that fear, that he knows that this might be at the end for him. Like a lot of action stars, they go through this kind of roles with the mentality that kita boleh nampak dekat muka that diorang tahu that diorang tak akan mati. And that thing is very obvious in their faces, that towards the end, you know, that's why the stake isn't really high, because you know that anything, whatever happens, the way they are protecting, this is, I think, plays true to Ethan dalam MI2 lah. So, Ethan dalam MI2 look like someone too overconfident, too cocky, someone yang knows that whatever happens, he's going to get out of it. Whereas in other movies, you know that he knows that there's a chance that, okay, this is the end, this is the end. But until, I mean, coming back to the train punya sequence, aku rasa itulah that you can sense the intensity lah, that you know that first he's trying to save someone that he cares about. At the same time, even the way the thing is shot, especially kalau tengok IMAX kan, memang boleh nampak that bila diorang cuba lompat dia satu gambar, memang nampak lah the fact that memang there's a very real chance that this is going to be the last one where they are not going to make it to the next one.
Yeah.
So I think dalam ni maybe you don't get the kind of action set piece. Maybe I think the Burj Khalifa or the apa yang dia tergantung is hang yang dia tergantung dekat plane. I mean those I think those have set very high bars in terms of like the adrenaline rush,
intensity dia.
This one after this, I think apa dia akan buat is more of behind the scenes punya what's going to be impressive about these stunts is going to be basically macam how they are shot. And the cliff scene, kalau kita just tengok the cliff scene just on its own, it's just di tengah lompat motorcycle jatuh bawah, kita tak rasa apa pun. I think that's why they kept showing us the making of the game. So dia nak kita tahu that this scene is
ni kerja gila ni kerja gila ni
tak ada orang what we saw. And the train scene, I think of course I think that one is owes to Christopher McQuarrie and the all technicians and camera work punya I mean credibility lah, how they pulled off that. I mean recently I think kau pun ada tengok Pathan, which I think has a similar kind of like that. I think that's what separates to make a comparison. I think this works well, but dua-dua tu is the two characters are trying to jump off train tu tengah jatuh and they're trying to jump off. Tapi dalam Pathan memang nampak sangat dua orang tu tahu that they are not going to die. So masa dia lompat pun relax je, macam jogging slowly lompat because there's no stakes at all. And it probably works in context of that movie because both of them are larger than life characters in a larger than life kind of franchise. Whereas in MI kita tahu that the stakes are high. We know that the conviction, Ethan punya conviction is going to make it work. So I think people should give Tom Cruise more credit lah, that even though he's just making action movies, dia tak buat character based role, but he's actually acting well dalam all these movies. Bukan senang to pull off when you're doing that sort of stunt and to still have the kind of facial expression he has, to have that sense of tension where kita nampak that memang dia tahu that he's acting kot, sebab benda tu is performance kan, like it's craft. No, not a random actor yang just knows how to do stunts won't be able to pull off that kind of performance. So he's actually trying to balance lah. He's trying to do all the stunts, action apa semua, but he's also using dia punya acting craft, whatever he has learned all these years. He's also using that to make the thing look more entertaining, more intense, more realistic. So I guess for me personally, I think it worked lah. I mean, like macam aku cakap that this is not really one of my favourite. Maybe because we have seen more, stunts yang lagi exciting, lagi like the wow factor mungkin lagi banyak dalam certain stunts yang dalam the movies. Tapi in context of the movie, the reckoning itself, okay lah, because kita tahu that he's actually trying to chase, dia dah promise, because benda ni pun is emotionally attached to the fact that dia dah promise pada Grace that he will come by hook or by crook, tu yang the fact that he dia muncul betul-betul masa moment dia nak kena tembak tu. So even though benda tu nampak lucky or ridiculous pun, tapi it's emotionally relevant lah, because it shows that once Ethan dah make promise kat Grace tu, that cakap don't worry, I'll be there by apa-apa jadi pun dia tetap akan datang and make sure that you're okay, and he actually ended up being at the right place at the right time. So in context of that, I guess the scene worked quite well.
Yeah, see. Alright, soalan untuk Iki dan Syafiq. Okay. Apakah pendapat korang pula tentang penampilan pelakon Isai Morales sebagai Gabriel? Chess piece utama The Entity versus Ethan Hunt. Adakah The Entity sebenarnya takut dengan Ethan Hunt sampai main adversary dari Ethan's past direkrut to be his foil?
Like I said before, I don't think he's scared of Ethan Hunt. Not necessarily he's not scared at all. It's just that the Entity intentionally on top of recruiting Gabriel, he wants Ethan Hunt to come in because it's depicted that Gabriel is like in his Ethan Hunt's life even before Mission Impossible 1, even before he becomes a super agent, right? So it's very, very personal to Ethan Hunt, right? So I think it is scared that Ethan Hunt beat him too quick when as he want to I guess the Entity might be scared that Ethan Hunt like beat the test too quick before it is done, like experimenting with him, but not in the sense that it's totally scary of Ethan Hunt, because as we can see, it is intentional that Ethan Hunt enters the equation. So yeah, I don't think that it is as scared, although it is somewhat scared, because the thing about Ethan Hunt is, although he is very emotional and very human compared to Gabriel, what makes him like powerful is because his emotions, because like you cannot 1-0 an emotion, right? So with that logic, Ethan Hunt represents chaos, Gabriel represents like order. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
scared, not too much.
Why you said tak ada. I'm just agreeing with what you said. Yes.
Alright, really cool. Okay, I think that's it. Kita pergi ke soalan daripada audience. Ada 2 soalan daripada audience. Yang pertama daripada Cik Nan, dia kata, di mana watak William Brand? Kemunculan mungkin ada pada part 2 atau sibuk mengajar kat Aceh Academy? Ramai juga ada yang tanya macam akan ada cameo ke apa benda lah kan dekat dalam part 1 ni, sebab kita tanya-tanya juga where is mana Ethan punya, not really just William Brand, tapi mana dia punya teammate yang lain daripada MI3, daripada Ghost Protocol apa semua tu. But yeah, kalau pasal ni kalau tanya aku pun, aku kalau boleh nak William Brand kembali jugalah, sebab kalau kita perasan dekat dalam Mission Impossible punya franchise ni, Benji is the side of the fan yang nak akan stun gila-gila tau. Benji memang daripada Ghost Protocol, Benji je yang buat perangai, yang kata kau boleh, kau mesti boleh buat punya. Padahal Ethan tak cakap dia boleh buat. Kau nak panjat Burj Khalifa, it's okay, Ethan boleh buat. Nak menyelam dekat dalam air 4 minit, Ethan boleh. Lepas tu yang ini, yang Dead Reckoning ni pun, kau kat mana bawa aku ni sampai aku ke gaung? Alah, gaung kan, lompat je lah. Benji is also like that. But William Brand,
it's the more
it makes me
grounded.
feel like imagine if like before everything, like Benji was always a fan of Ethan Hunt reading his files, and MI2 is just his dream. That's what Ethan is to him. What Ethan is to him is whatever Ethan was in MI2. So MI2 is canon.
yes, betul. I mean, it is really funny lah, sebab macam the way to diorang nak rationalize kan why Ethan have to do this kind of stunt is just because Benji ask him to do it. Itu je. So memang tak nak, padahal itu memang tak nak buat pun. Kalau dalam MI2 is that Ethan sendiri dia pergi buat all the backflips lah, apa benda semua, wikang semua kan. After that dia dah macam dia dah slow down ke apa ke. Tapi ada disebabkan ada Benji, dia macam ada dia punya fanboy untuk Ethan tu kan. Habis semua benda-benda yang impossible, kata impossible. Of course lah boleh buat kan. It's not really impossible pun.
So it's not difficult. It's not mission difficult. It's impossible.
It's mission difficult. It's mission impossible. Aduh. Tapi watak William Brand ni aku suka is because macam kalau tengok daripada filem Ghost Protocol dengan Rogue Nation, he is a son of reason lah sebenarnya. Dia selalu macam memang skeptical lah. Walaupun dia pun agent IMF, tapi dia macam setiap kali nak melakukan mission ke apa ke, dia yang akan cakap kata, kau betul? Boleh ke kau betul? It's really funny lah. Aku harap Jeremy Renner boleh kembali lah dekat franchise Mission Impossible ni. Okay, soalan yang kedua daripada
You want to add? Iki wants to add stuff.
Ya, boleh.
Untuk Jeremy Renner tu kan apa dia ada accident apa tu mesin apa tu. I don't know if he's like okay now. Tapi if by some apa miracle part 2 dia dah shoot mesin ke, let's hope off kau tak apalah, dia bagilah dia.
I'm not sure if he's coming to part 2 lah, tapi I don't know if kalau memang after dia ada kening Tom still nak buat lagi ke apa kan, MI9, MI10 ke apa. Of course lah dia kena buat sampai MIX. MI10.
Sampai dia 80 tu, sampai dia 80 tahun.
Bila aku tengok Mission Impossible ni kan, yang baru ni, kebetulan aku rasa macam hampir semua karakter that is either a villain or a support that is still alive is all kind of like as much as one movie can get, ada dekat dalam part 1 ni. So I think part 2 they may bring back other characters that kind of seem like don't have time to shine, like maybe the guy in what was it, like Ghost Protocol, the guy the other them brand, was it in Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol, I don't remember. It's like the fifth movie. So there's one guy yang I think it's the Burj Khalifa one. So yeah, there is another guy, right? So they may bring him back. They may bring back the siapa? Yeah, I don't remember. Like but it's also
ke dalam third. Kau I think dalam third ada seorang tu yang the guy tu.
Oh, yang dengan Maggie Q tu.
Dengan Q tu itu.
I confuse it. Yes, the third. So
John Rhys Meyers.
So there may be like dua karakter tak ada function kan, macam yang the Australian agent dekat MI2 because everybody still ask the question, is the like the love interest like is gonna be back. So in terms of brand, what I think brand is kind of cool is, okay, if you look at the entire team, essentially if you really think about it, with all the skill set available, like other than Ethan Hunt, like if anyone can catch up with him that is with his alignment, it's like Ilsa and Brand, you know. So we and William Brand, but Ilsa is like she's that, right? So I think it will make sense that William Brand will come to the next one, because you have to understand, when there is one solid snake but he's too tied up, and then the other team is too focused on other things and they are incapable to do solid snake stuff, it's kind of cool that there's a Raiden. You know what I mean? That's kind of cool that there's another solid snake type guy. So I think what they've been showing so for us, although like in little instances, William Brand is like another Ethan Hunt essentially, because he can do what Ethan can do.
Actually, to add to that, memang they actually were targeting character Brand to replace Hunt in the long run. The reason he was introduced in Ghost Protocol was so that I think they wanted Brand to take forward the franchise in the future. Tapi unfortunately that didn't happen lah. Macam tu dia orang cuba juga dengan what was the movie dengan Matt Damon new franchise? Bond. They tried to get him to take over the Bond franchise, didn't work out. they tried with the Mission Impossible franchise pun dia orang tahu that Tom Cruise is the selling point. So, but I think I pun setuju lah that character adds a lot to, because dia pun emotionally intertwined dengan Ethan Hunt juga. The fact that he almost thought that he was the reason his wife died, even that actually wasn't true. Tapi exactly. So there's an emotional connect to it lah. Then in the later movie pun, in Rogue Nation also, he played quite an important part. I think brand new character ni more of, I think Jeremy Renner himself wasn't wanting to come back to the movie the new movie. Sebab I think if they could get him back, I think he is quite a valuable asset to the franchise, which I mean people that attached in the first in the fourth and fifth movie. That's why I think it fall out since diorang tak dapat Jeremy Renner, which is why I think they try to craft something with Gabriel. I think they will keep, if someone doesn't come back, they will keep getting someone else to come and play, because diorang tahu that Tom Cruise, no matter how great he is, they need someone to play along with him, to be there as even as a second fiddle pun, tapi just for the sake of having someone for him to play off. So in this movie they all managed to get Elliot well. So I think that's that the next movie will maintain. Tapi but it'll be cool lah. I mean, if they can manage to pull off something which Avengers, which they bring out all the characters daripada first, even in the second movie, third, fourth, semua muncul dalam the final. I think maybe it's going to be 15 or 20 or something. By the time semua pun dah jadi atuk moyang apa semua, but if they can bring out apa semua all the characters, then who knows, it'll be something very cool to watch.
Yeah, I remember something Suraj said the other day. He said that, you know, like who's that guy? Who's his name again? Jeremy Renner. He can play like a good character, but he cannot maybe lead a movie, but he cannot lead a franchise. And I can kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Dia suka jadi macam supporting lah.
Yes.
The funny thing is, people are so overconfident about Tom Cruise leading a franchise. They did the Phil Dark Universe with him, like doing the Mummy thing. But as we can see, even Tom Cruise has his limit. I think he is more like grounded. Like for a grounded franchise, it makes sense to have him. You know, just like Top Gun. But as far
grounded,
as far as like the more like supernatural stuff semua tu, it's not Tom Cruise, it's not Jeremy Renner. So I hope there's another person coming in the future. If they did plan to actually get another person, hopefully a younger guy or younger woman to lead the MI after that. But as for now, I think yes, there's a high chance in terms of the plot wise, you know, how everybody is intertwined with Ethan's fate, for William Brand to return on the second part, on that Reckoning part 2.
Yeah, it should be hopefully nanti dekat dalam upcoming kan dia akan muncul balik. Alright, aku rasa itu je kita punya segmen untuk top 5 plot kita for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Kita akan ke segmen yang terakhir. Okay, kita dah hampir-hampir nak sampai ke duration sama dengan Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning tak 2 jam setengah.
Pandai kau plan.
So kita pergi ke segmen yang terakhir. Okay, let's go. Alright, apakah rating korang untuk filem ini dan harapan?
Ulang balik.
Oh sorry, apakah harapan rating dan juga harapan korang untuk filem Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 nanti? Alright.
Harapan tak nak, orang kata tak nak setinggi gunung lah. Sebab do you know, people with expectation, contoh lah Multiverse of Madness, all the theories, kau nak dia datang, kau nak dia datang, kau nak tu jadi. Aku senang je. Sebab ini Mission Impossible, I want more impossible stunts. That's all I'm asking for. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so rating out of 10.
Rating untuk part 1?
Rating. Okay. Sebab dia other than being like half of a movie, it still rasa not as satisfactory as the rest of the franchise. So for in terms of rating, numerical rating, I can give it 7.8 out of 10.
Oh,
Alright, good.
nice. Because that's exactly what I would give it to, 7.8 out of 10. And the reason is why, not because it's half of a movie. Because I think this movie actually concludes itself well. You know, you compare to something like Fast X, for example, that's straight up cheap cliffhanger, right? This is an actual, they conclude the whole thing, so we know that they can open a new chapter on this on the submarine later in the second movie. So it kind of feel like it actually closed the door, so it's fine in terms of that. But I think as far as the standard of Mission Impossible goes, it's not the best, although it can still catch up with the rest. So to me, in terms of like ranking, like I said before, is number 6 above MI2 that is last in number 7. So yeah, 7.8 out of 10. And in terms of like harapan, rasanya harapan aku movie it's not so much on this movie, more on the entire franchise. Aku harap part 2 ni bukan the end of like Mission Impossible, and it kind of looks like it's not ending, and that's like
Ni Tom Cruise pun dah cakap sebab disebabkan inspired by Harrison Ford, he wants to go up at this 18.
in
Itu City.
Dial of Destiny, because it's like inspired enough. It wants to keep going.
Yes.
And I agree with that. And I'm okay with him being like another character like Ving Rhames, like a voice, like a stone that keep everyone together, and then it's like he's always there to give advice, like he doesn't have to go in action. A new person can take his place, and as long as the franchise is going, and as we can see, even though this is not the best out of like all the 7 movies, it's been like what 3 decades in the making of this, as compared to Marvel's 19 to finish 90 movies in 1 year, in 10 years, in a decade, to finish the Thanos saga. And then they got sloppy afterwards. It got worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point that people don't even know what phase 4 was, and suddenly now it's phase 5. Now back to MI, this is like something akin to Nolan's like Batman trilogy, because it takes its time and it's all quality film. They're all great except for 2. But in terms of stunt, 2 also have great stunts in there. So in terms of that, it still can be like, compared to other movies, 2 is better. But in terms of like MMA movie, is kind of like doesn't make sense. And this movie is not as good as the others. That's why it's like in like the second last place in my ranking. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool, good. Okay, Zainul, rating kau untuk filem ni dan juga harapan untuk filem Dead Reckoning Part 2?
Okay, so rating aku rasa aku boleh bagi about 7.5 out of 10. And aku punya basically my conclusion is that macam aku cakap first tadi, is a bit, there's a sense of familiarity because it doesn't exactly reinvent any tropes, or it gives us a picture of like this AI punya story, but in terms of the espionage spy trope, it doesn't really reinvent much. Stunts wise pun macam we have seen like something similar macam car chase scenes apa semua dalam different movies. It's just the train scene for me seemed quite cool, and the cliff jumping punya gimmick and all. But the most important thing, I think, harapan aku from the second one would be that aku nak tengok the Gabriel arc dikembangkan. Sebab aku rasa the main reason I couldn't enjoy this movie as much was because I couldn't really care about the Gabriel character. Because I think if let's say Gabriel ni would have been someone yang diorang bawa, someone yang kita dah pernah tengok dalam movie awal sebelum ni, like a random character who maybe even was a good guy before this and suddenly appeared dalam ni and became Ethan your nemesis, something, at least there must be some sort of connect. But for me, the biggest issue for me with this the reckoning is that in the movie they try to make it seem like there's a flashback. Gabriel ni has been part of Ethan's life, that something happened which made Ethan, go into IMF. Tapi benda tu tak resonate ke kita. It's just in the movie. Sebab sebab the first thing after the movie habis, aku tanya Casey duduk sebelah, aku tanya like, Gabriel ni ada ke? Sebab aku cakap, aku baru je tengok 6 movie sebelum ni, tapi aku tak ingat pun. Sebab the way they try to portray dalam movie, they expect us to already be connected dengan Gabriel ni. But I think since he wasn't there, aku pun wasn't really fully invested dalam that arc. So hopefully, I think in the second one, dia orang tunjuk kita in depth, in detail, who exactly Gabriel ni and apa significance of his character, what exactly happened, what exactly went wrong in, the initial part of Ethan's life which led him to become. So the idea of the fact that Ethan ada cakap about something that we all had a choice, something happened, something bad happened, and we all had this choice of making this decision, means I think that was trying to imply that semua karakter ni pun at one point of their life diorang screw up or something happened, then they had this choice to either go to jail or become a criminal or choose to become IMF. I think benda ni diorang tak explore lagi dalam other movies. Sebelum ni kita pun tak pernah tahu origin IMF ni. Memang diorang tunjuk that selalu diorang ni go rogue and go against the government and everything, tapi diorang tak pernah tunjuk the fact that where these guys originated from, kenapa diorang got into this IMF. So I hope in the next movie they will explore a lot more of that lah. Again, other than the AI punya establishing more of the AI punya technicalities and in depth, especially in regards of how getting the key is actually going to help whoever gets the key control the world. Hopefully they actually explain that lah, that apa sebenarnya significant, why are they so desperate, when they say that we can control everything, how are they actually going to control everything. And let's see lah. I mean, aku rasa, I think once the second one comes out, and if it actually is a good movie, I think we are all going to appreciate the first one a lot more. I think this works as a two-parter lah. Even certain movies, maybe macam Spider-Verse, even regardless of the second part, the first part is complete enough that you don't need the second part to actually appreciate. And this one, The Reckoning, I think is a movie that even though dia tak and in a cliffhanger macam Fast X where randomly just cut off macam tu je, they actually, I think Tom Cruise himself mentioned that dia insist the movie shouldn't hang in a cliffhanger. Dia nak ada particular resolution, so that dalam movie tu dia tunjuk that after the train dia lompat, then there's like the monologue kind of thing from Kittridge about Grace punya character apa semua. So dia bagi tahu that there is a part 2 coming, but at the same time dia pun tunjuk lah that there's a particular end to this particular movie. But still aku rasa there are a lot of loopholes within the narrative that unless the second one comes up and explains all these loopholes and justifies all these characters being there, mainly Gabriel, and justifies why AI ni is so significant, the entity is so significant that semua orang nak cuba control benda tu. Unless we get that, until we get that's justification the second movie, aku rasa this remains my not particularly one of my most favourite MI movies lah. But I mean, it can change. Let's see. Hopefully, I think part 2 offers a lot more. Aku rasa diorang dah start shooting ke part 2? Did they shoot it simultaneously or?
Yeah, I think it's completed already. Tayang next year.
Oh, memang next year lah, bukan 1, 2, 3 tahun lagi lah. Okay lah, so okay lah, 1 year not that important.
Yeah. Okay. Alright. Thank you guys for the spoiler talks. Okay, aku rasa tu je kita punya spoiler talk untuk pada malam ni. Thank you again pada Zainul dan juga Iki dan juga Syafiq for joining us as a panelist. Thank you very much. Mengam-ngam, taklah ngam-ngam terlebih 10 minit daripada duration asal Mission Impossible dan kawan. Kita 2 jam 37 minit. But it's really cool sebab kita tahu memang filem ni banyak gila input dan juga banyak benda yang kita boleh cakap pasal filem ni, juga franchise Mission Impossible tu sendiri. Okay, terima kasih juga kepada penonton yang meninggalkan komen tadi. So korang boleh stay tune dan juga boleh Stay tune dekat channel Buzzpop untuk kita punya konten-konten pada masa-masa yang akan datang. Okay, majulah fandom untuk negara. Thank you guys. See you
Okay,
guys again.
thanks.
Okay, bye.